Is it my turn to clap?
No, okay, go. Brr, 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 brr. Welcome to another episode of Mofos with a Long Podcast.
Yo.
So last time we did Oh Brother We're Out Thou,
Mm-hmm.
and the movie for today is what's it called? The Belko Experiment.
The Belko Experiment.
And I guess interesting background with this, at least when it comes to us with this movie, was for one, I've never heard of this movie before.
For real?
Yeah. Not until you kept mentioning it, at work every once in a while.
Uh-huh.
And I always mistaked it for there's a movie called The Experiment
Oh, okay.
with Adrian Brody and Forrest Whitaker. So I thought it was the same movie.
Uh-huh.
Then I remember I said those two names, and you look so confused.
Oh, yeah. Adrian Brody.
Yeah, you're like...
He's definitely not in this movie.
Same with Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, I mean... I'm not
Forrest
going to say
Whitaker would have murked everybody.
Oh, well, yeah. He's just very recognizable. When the Forrest Whitaker's in the movie, But, yeah, so I guess one day, a couple weeks ago, you said, you mentioned a scene. I was like, at this point, let me just go watch this movie. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, as I was watching it, I was like, how come I've never heard of this movie before? How come nobody ever mentioned this movie?
In a good way or a bad way?
It just because I thought it was a major release, and it has James Gunn wrote it and produced it. So I thought and it came out, I guess, mid 2000, 2016, 17. So I thought by then, James Gunn already has the Guardians of the Galaxy, it will be more well known and stuff. But I can see why it wasn't really talked about. One, doesn't have a big star.
Right, yeah. But I think that works to its advantage. I think a lot of horror movies go wrong trying to cast a lot of big name actors, and it kind of takes you out of it. Let's say Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise dies in a horror movie or whatever, and then you just know he's gonna be in the next movie. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of when you see a face you don't recognize, being killed or whatever, it kind of adds to it. Cause
Yeah. I guess it doesn't take away from the movie because it's you go in not knowing what's going to happen. Because like you say, if they have a big star in your mind, you kind of think, well, that guy's the biggest star. Obviously, he might make it to the end, or he's going to be important. No, unless you Quentin Tarantino movies where he doesn't care about how popular you are, he'll kill you anyway.
He does not.
Yeah. I guess the biggest star in this movie, funny enough, was Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker, yeah. Probably. And then you also got the guy from Scrubs. I can't remember. His name.
What's it called? It's not Cox, is it? Is that the character he plays?
I think it is Cox.
That's the character he plays in Scrubs.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of Dr. Cox. That's a weird
movie.
Name
He's Wendell.
Yeah, that's a weird.
Wendell Dukes.
That's a cool ass name. That's straight off the 80s action movie.
Wendell Dukes.
Yeah. Dukes, you son of a bitch. But so I was watching the movie. I was like, how come I've never heard of it? And I remember I talked to my brother about this movie because he asked what movie you guys were reviewing next. I was like, the Belko Experiment, and he named a plot. I was like, wait, you've seen it? It's like, yeah. He's like, I've seen it. I'm like, what the hell's going on? How come I'm the only one who hasn't seen this movie?
You're from a different reality.
Yeah.
Where this movie doesn't exist.
Maybe, man. Or just exists as The Experiment. That's the only one. But, so actually you brought up...
You're from a reality where it's real?
No, what you say?
Is that what you're saying? You're from a reality where this actually happened?
Oh, no. I'm just saying I'm from a reality that only The Experiments, the movie... that exists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, that would be terrifying. Imagine I come from a reality that this exists. I come here you guys think it's a movie. I'm like, hell no, man. We gotta stop this shit. But
you see, I think the plot of this movie only works because like it's more of like a corporate office, bro. Like if this was like, because everyone's like, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't or whatever. But then like, bro, if this happened in a call center, bro, everyone would be throwing hands
Oh
first thing,
yeah,
bro.
that shit.
Like,
All the frustration comes out.
yeah.
Could you imagine this at McDonald's, man? They would go.
Oh, McDonald's. They shut down the McDonald's.
Yeah. What would be the objective? Like, whoever makes the ice cream machine works or some shit like that gets to live, gets to survive. Whoever fixes it. But yeah, I guess going to the plot, it's one of those like you have to suspend. I mean, like, disbelief, like, because it's, to me, it's kind of similar to The Purge, where they have something like this happen. And if you try to think about it logically and shit like that, like, obviously it won't happen. But if you just like, it's in its own world and let them set it up,
Yeah.
and let it be, they just kind
Definitely one of those
accept
movies.
it.
You kind of have to turn your brain off. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Like, if it's one of those things, like it looks good from the angle they give it, you start like looking at it from other angles. It's like, okay, yeah, it starts falling apart.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like the my first problem with the plot is how do you work for somewhere for like a year, an entire year, not realizing that you're not doing anything.
So my theory with that is that they most likely get paid good money to the point they might think about it. Then they're like, well, we get paid anyway.
Oh, they did say in the training video they do get paid very well.
Yeah, so it's like you just kind of let it go because you're getting paid.
I guess
It's weird because maybe that this goes into how I feel about the movie. I've been in a situation like that where it's kind of what brought me to Texas. What I think I told you about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like maybe you're desperate and you just kind of need a job, or you just see like, well, it's a job, I'm working, they're paying me good money. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm not broke. I'm not homeless.
I don't buy it.
Oh yeah.
Especially not in America, man. I'm not working
Oh.
a job where I have no idea what's going on, bro.
This was in Bogota, though. So it's
I mean, but it's an American company.
Oh, okay. Well, they said they had like locations all over the world, but yeah, I mean, so you couldn't buy into it from the get go with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. When I watched it the first time, I just kind of like, sat back and let it do its thing. Just kind of shut my brain off. Like, I'm not going to try to look at this too hard. I'm just going to see it for what it is. Yeah, and it wasn't until probably, like, after the movie's over, you're like, okay, yeah, cool, you give me the plot, but then, like, you start thinking about it, and it's like, this is some really fantastical shit that would never happen. You know, like...
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Pull the mic back just a bit.
Okay.
You're clipping a little bit. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still pointed at you, though. Just not as close to... Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that should be
Okay.
good.
So going back to the movie, the plot, I guess I just shut my brain down and just let it just be. Even the part that, at least the first, this is actually a good reason. It's good to watch movies multiple times before a review, because the first one of my complaints about the plot was solved the second time I watched it. But the bomb in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I watched it, I didn't realize like they went to a doctor first to implant like the tracer, they called it.
Uh-huh.
So the first time I saw it, because I was kind of sleepy, and it just kind of breezed through. So I was confused, like, how do they have bombs in their head and nobody knows? So yeah, that was bothering me the very first time I watched it. Like how won't you know that somebody implanted chips in your head? But the second time I watched it, right in the beginning, they they hint at it, because the new girl, Danny, I believe. Yeah, she just came at a guy that was, I guess, maybe doing some checkup and stuff. He's like, oh, did you go see the doctor? Did they put the stuff in your head? And gave you like a bullshit reason because of like kidnapping and stuff like that, so they could be able to trace you. I kind of like that they do it so small, because I mean, they give you a bullshit reason that, if you really think about it, it's, the plot could just go down and You start, you start to put some real logic into it. They just kind of give you a bullshit reason that makes sense in the context of the movie, and it just kind of went with it. So that's one thing I like about the movie, because it's like it's always going, that you don't have time to think about it logically, because if you do, the whole shit just shuts down.
Yeah.
So it's always going. Then anything you want to add?
Going back to the whole like Danny being the new employee thing, I really liked the way that worked out, because like I think we've talked about this before, where there's a big issue with was it exposition?
Yeah.
Where a lot of movies have this like obvious dialogue that gives you the background of everything that's going on, but it's like it would never happen in a regular conversation.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there like just kind of like have to roll your eyes because it's so cheesy, and you're just like, come on, man, just like get to like tell me this in a way that doesn't break the scene. And I think this movie does that really well. It has the new character, the newest employee, Danny. So she's just gone through all the protocols, so they're checking up with her, so like all of it makes sense, but they're giving us all the background information that we need at the same time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like we're being babied through it.
It's not forced. It makes sense in the context of the movie.
And so that's where we learn about the tracers in the head that actually turn out to be the bombs. Maybe they do. Maybe they track the location.
Yeah.
Maybe that they put that in there as a feature, but the main purpose was to have it be the bomb. And then also there's a bit at the very beginning where there's a guy who can give their mission statement in any language. And so he's able to tell you supposedly what Belko as a company is supposed to be doing. But it just comes out in regular conversation because he's doing their mission statement in multiple languages.
Yeah.
So supposedly they're a staffing firm.
Okay.
For foreign countries to hire Americans.
Okay.
Is what they're supposed to be. But obviously, like for the past year, they haven't been
they haven't been
doing anything.
Really. Yeah, you just kind of show up. Because I know they said it in passing. It's one of those like the description they gave in the movie. It happens in real life too. Like some companies that might be kind of like scams, they'll give you a very generic, supposed to be professional breakdown, but it's gibberish. When you actually like listen to it and try to decipher it, it's gibberish, but it just make it sound so fancy and nice that you just like, okay, that sounds professional. It must be real. But yeah, I like that they do that too. I guess it goes into also in the beginning. So the one person, remember when they were all like coming to the parking lots and they did not let a person in? And what's his name?
The locals.
Yeah, so I wonder if that guy, whether he already worked there, but he never got like a tracer. So they were like, well, we're not.
Well, yeah, they explained that. They sent the locals away because there's no logical reason for the locals to have a tracer. They're locals.
Yeah, okay, I see.
The only employees that get the tracers are the ones that are originally Americans because they're at risk for being kidnapped, supposedly.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so that's why they're able to give them the
excuse,
the tracer / bomb. And so, I mean, if you don't have the leverage of we're gonna blow your head off, to make them do things, then you can't force them to do anything in the game.
It makes sense, yeah.
So they turned the locals away at the gate that particular day. That's just crazy. Like, I mean, like if I was a local, I'd be like, thank God.
Yeah, can you imagine?
That's kind of like the shooter being like, don't come to school today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, could you imagine like you're at home and you see on the news, people just get, they died there. You're just like, damn, I was almost one of those people.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I'd be like, so where do I pick up my check?
Yeah. That's what the dude who made it, Mike. That's the first thing he thought of. So like, how much to
was
get
I
paid?
still on the clock?
Yeah. Can you imagine? That's your first thoughts. Would you even work for a place like that? I mean, the place looked kind of scary, and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, no, like there's too much going. Like Mike, the yeah, like Mike pieces it together faster than anybody else, and he figures out this is not a hoax before anybody else does.
That's one of my problems with the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That he automatically knows, or that nobody else figures it
No,
out.
it's the fact that he's so smart.
Uh huh.
Unless the money, like how we said, money must pay well. He seems like somebody that could decipher that shit. Like the company is kind of sketchy a long time ago.
Before he even got
Yeah,
hired on.
before he even got to this point. But maybe because he has the girl, and maybe the money's good, so it's just like okay.
Well, I think he met the girl at the place.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, I imagine, he gets hired, he's doing that job. Somebody as smart as Mike, as they portrayed him to be, I could see him already thinking, like, we don't really do shit here. Like, what am I doing here? But maybe because he met the girl there. It's me adding my own backstory
Yeah.
and stuff. And it goes into my major problem with the movie is the fact that they made Mike the obvious protagonist.
Uh huh.
So they made him so obvious, the obvious protagonist, to the point that every situation that came afterwards, I wasn't scared for Mike. Because like the first scene was with him, and he's already like having all these like superhero shit of just deciphering things and being so action oriented, which is good. It's good, but because they kind of made it obvious, like, oh, this is our guy. Every time they brought up like, oh, somebody's going to die, I wasn't scared that Mike was going to be one of them. But if it's my own fan fiction thing, if they introduce everybody as a whole, then in a movie, Mike starts like being smart and stuff like that. We start gravitating towards him. He could still be our guy, but we'll also be scared because he was never like established as the protagonist. It's just somebody we happen to come to like. Then I would have been more worried for him throughout the movie.
As a counterpoint, but not necessarily disagreeing with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
I will say that, like, yeah, definitely Mike is the protagonist of the story, and so we definitely see more of him than anybody else.
Yeah.
But I think the beginning does a really good job of setting up the kind of just the situation of the office pre-experiment. You get to see like Wendell's kind of a creeper.
Yeah.
The British guy, he's got kids.
He's got kids, yeah. Was it Sean Gunn's character? He's kind of a weirdo already.
Well, I think he's just like a kind of a conspiracy nut.
Yeah.
And then you also see Keith has the ant farm.
Who's Keith?
Keith is the guy with the glasses.
Is it the one that hid in the freezer later on?
No, that guy. That was sad. He was like writing a letter to his kids and stuff. Man, that was
sad.
That was sad.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. No, Keith is the one. He had the ant farm. He got shot in the hand trying to.
Oh,
hang the
I
banner
like
up.
that guy.
Yeah,
I really like that guy. Yeah.
He gets used in like such a dark humor way later.
Yeah, he does.
It's
yeah.
so bad. No, but then yeah, him and like Peggy are cool, and like I don't know if they were like
dating.
Well, no, not dating, but like I don't know if like the beginning part was just them being friendly or if it was being flirty. Like it seemed like it could have gone either way. But yeah, and then you get to see what's his name,
Mike and Leandro also have a relationship.
Yeah, yeah. And then the boss Barry.
Barry, yeah.
He's kind of like, I don't know. He seems like not super hard ass, but at the same time, like he's not going to be your best friend.
He's matter of fact. He looks like a good boss. Like like he'll only ask you for stuff that for the work, maybe something that needs to be turned in. But if he sees you doing some shit, he doesn't really have to write you up. He'll just leave you alone because he saw Leandra and Mike like making out and shit, and it's just like he just pretended like he didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, because normally that's something you got to report to HR.
Yeah,
but like, yeah.
So he seems like he just comes in, does his job, tries to do it the best he can and just leave. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, for sure. So we get to see all of that, like kind of like the chemistry of everybody. We see Danny getting settled into her new position.
Yeah.
Which it's not like they're not doing any work, because we do see the lady come drop like all of this stuff off on her desk and be like, we need these turned into PowerPoints in 2 hours.
Yeah. Which is, that's a lot, but yeah.
Yeah,
For your
yeah,
first
like
day.
so that they have a large workload, but it's probably busy work.
Yeah, yeah, just filler work.
Yeah, because
They're getting paid, so
their sole purpose is to be there for
the experiments.
the experiment.
Yeah.
Which we find out later on. We get introduced to what is Lieta?
Leandra?
No, well, no, when Danny sits down, she sits down with Roberto.
Oh, the black girl?
Yeah,
I don't know her name. I
I
forgot.
think it was like Lieta or
Maybe.
something like that. But yeah, so
And-
she
Yeah,
has
something.
has that dialog So we get introduced to them, which honestly, like, whatever her name, Lieta, whatever her name is, we don't really see much of her too much. I guess just because, like, when you have that many people in a story, you don't have time to give everybody screen time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so since Danny doesn't really have an emotional connection to her, and then like she's not really attached to Mike in like an emotional way, she really only gets used for like one shot, which is like
Who, Lieta?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
which is crazy. That shot, we'll talk about that scene later.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Roberto, I think they build like a rapport, and like you definitely want to see. I wanted to see more of Roberto,
Yeah,
because I
he's
liked his
charismatic.
like sarcastic energy to like everything that he was bringing. I liked him as a character. I was like,
How he talks about he wants to make the sign pop.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah.
That was funny. He still cares about his, like, quality of art, I guess.
yeah, yeah. So that we get to see like the average day in the office, and then intercom comes on.
Doesn't waste any time. The shit
Yeah.
just starts. Going back to what you said too, like the dynamic seems very good. The office dynamic, and it seems somewhat realistic.
Yeah,
Like they're very cliquish and people having things going on. Yeah, so it seems very realistic. It does a good job setting up just the office dynamic.
and I think that that explains how people interacted with each other when shit was going down. Because like if we didn't know like, oh, these people are in a relationship, or like these people are friends and stuff like that, we wouldn't understand their motives behind like what they're doing. Like we would have to after the fact be like, oh, I guess they were friends,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I really like that before it got into the meat of the situation, they established everybody's
Kind of
like relationship with each other.
And it's also kind of, that's good writing too. I guess this is why they got James Gunn to do Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. Like he was able to establish that within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's really good. But yeah, then going to where you say the intercom comes on and the shit goes down. What was your first reaction? Like your initial reaction to the objective that was given from the intercom?
I mean, because I had seen the previews before it
Oh,
came
okay.
out, so like, and that was like one of the things. Like, you already know going into it.
Okay.
I mean, because you even know about the 30 later on when they asked for 30.
Oh, really? It's not a commercial?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
in the
man.
30, and then like it was like, if you don't kill the 30, we'll kill 60.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay.
And like that was in the commercial, so you knew it was gonna be big.
So maybe it's good I went in blank.
Yeah,
That caught me by surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably is a good idea, because I feel like kind of the same way that we were talking about Mortal Kombat, was like we knew they were going to be like, get over here.
Yeah.
From the commercial, like maybe with knowing less of that, like it would have hit harder.
Yeah.
Not that this movie didn't hit. Like, I mean, there was definitely some crazy shots.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, once it starts, they get the word like it's time to start killing fools, and then yeah, like the doors go up because everybody tries to leave.
Yeah. Actually, I found that. Sorry to cut you off. I found that kind of funny because that one woman barely just came in. Then the shit started, and she acted realistically. She's like, "Let me just get the fuck out." Then that's when the shit just boarded up. And I wonder if she was the last person to come in to trigger it. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wonder, like, if it wouldn't have started until she came in. You know, because they needed everybody there. Mm-hmm. So it's like she barely just came in. I think they're like, okay, we met the quota. Let's start this shit. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What if she didn't show up that day?
Yeah. Like, what if? And then just have to push it back, I guess. But yeah. Sorry, go on with your point, I guess.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, like from there are like a few slow points, but for the most part, like the movie doesn't stop.
Yeah,
at that point,
it just keeps going. Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a ride. I would say this movie is. About halfway through, my girl had to like walk out.
Oh,
She
really?
said it was too much.
I will admit, it got too. It's not too much, but it's the sound effects that got me.
Yeah,
like
they did a really good job with like adding the sound to everything, because I mean, like while you're on set, like it's probably you just hear like air, like or whatever, like, and so going back into like the audio design and just making those like the squishes, like the squelch and the like. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see how they did that.
Probably like watermelon or like a meat.
Yeah,
something just like right next to a microphone.
Yeah, it sounded really good.
They got some really cool tricks. If you ever watch people that do Foley work, like they've got some like really, and it's like simple things like I know that I saw them do a scene where there's like birds flying, and obviously like they're not gonna mic the birds. So, but like there was just like a kitchen rag, and they're just like flopping it next to the mic. That's and creative. It's like it's like the flapping sound.
That's creative.
Yeah. They get really creative.
Yeah.
Especially when they're doing like CG movies where there's like no actual sound from the set because it's all, like computer generated movie.
Okay.
Like I saw them do like Jimmy Neutron and stuff like that. And he has his little like robot dog Goddard.
Oh yeah, Goddard.
And so like they have to do like the click clack of like him walking.
Oh, that's really
cool.
And
they used like parts of a Coke can. They like taped it to their fingers and
oh, okay,
like tap on the floor.
That's really cool.
Yeah, just like small stuff like that. Foley work is amazing, and it really helps out a movie. And I think it really helped it because this movie, because there's some shots where they cut away, and you don't necessarily see what's happening, but like the sound tells more than like the visual ever could, or I don't know. I guess you don't see the visual to make it more tasteful, but you still hear it. Yeah. And so you still get that that's feeling. Almost worse.
Yeah. Oh,
because it kind of like lets your imagination run wild.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like the sound effects was really good when just the explosion. It just made me kind of like feel icky, I guess, each time it happened.
And no one was really weak with their deaths. Like none of the actors were like
what's her name?
Like they all looked real.
Yeah, they all reacted well.
Yeah. I didn't see one that was like a late reaction. That was like, oh, come on, man. Like,
it wasn't some like spoilers for The Dark Knight Rises, but some. Have you seen that movie? Not like Talia al Ghul's death, where it's so hulky, because she's just like trying to talk, then just drops dead. Almost like a parody of somebody trying to act dead, But when it first started, I didn't know what to expect because I've never seen this. I didn't know anything about this movie. So when the first like two heads explode, it got, because of the noise too. I just didn't expect it. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Well, even before that, the first death we encounter is Michael Rooker's character.
No.
What?
It was two people because when the intercom comes on, they said like, hey, if you don't kill this much people in a certain time, everybody, or so and so people would die. 2 people, I think. If you
Oh,
don't kill
really?
somebody, and they were all kind of like wondering what was going on. Then next thing you know, 2 heads just exploded. Then they were like, oh,
Oh, it was 4.
was it four?
At the
Four?
beginning, it was 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
Well,
they said kill any 2. And they didn't.
yeah. So I think. Let me think. Did Michael Rooker? I don't think he was the first one. 2 heads definitely exploded. Then they all got worried. Then they all met up in the lobby, and that's where Michael Rooker was at too. Because they,
And
they thought,
they were trying to get into the door.
yeah,
No, trying to get out of the
yeah, they're
door.
trying to get out. But I remember when they all held it up, the heads exploded because they thought it was a sniper.
Uh huh.
Then that it heightened it even more for them. To it's more real once you see people die.
Like, so now we really got to get
Yeah,
through the
now we
door.
really have to go out. Then
Um,
then I'm actually getting confused. I'm pretty sure Rooker wasn't the first one to go. He was one of the first ones for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like epic foreshadowing because like right before they head down to the basement to work on the AC, he hands Lonnie like the big ass wrench.
Wrench,
And he's
yeah.
like, watch my back.
It even calms them down too, because Lonnie was
Yeah.
starting to get worried.
Uh-huh.
So it lets you know like Ronnie has like problems
Yeah.
already. Mhm.
Well, I'm
Oh, it's realistic too. I mean, somebody's
not
had just explained.
necessarily that he had issues beforehand, but I mean that type of situation would make anyone
True.
on edge, and like I think he didn't know who to trust, and like I'm at the end, I think the whole thing goes to show like it's like who can you really
Yeah, that's
trust in
true.
that, because like they trusted Barry as their boss to like get them through some shit, and he's like goes off the walls later.
He's the most because he's super charismatic, and he has like that leader.
Yeah. But yeah, so then I guess like the first 4 people get there.
Yeah, because they check. I don't know if it's 4 or 2, but they definitely check their head. That's when they notice like it
Oh,
wasn't a
right,
sniper.
right.
Yeah, they noticed it was from the inside
Yeah.
that the stuff exploded. Yeah, but those first couple deaths definitely got me. They caught me by surprise because I went in not knowing what the movie was about. Then
Immediately after that, Mike tries to take out his tag.
yeah, I trusted that guy's tag, and that's another thing too, because it's like I already know when that happened. I wasn't worried for Mike because I kind of, with the way he was reacting, he already kind of thinks it. He was so level headed because he didn't take it as a hoax. He's the one questioning things before it even happened.
Yeah.
So when he did that, like to cut his head to try to get the bomb out, and they were threatening like, hey, you might blow your head off and stuff like that. I wasn't worried for him at all because I already kind of know like, oh, they've kind of established this dude as that guy. So like the guy we're following. So nothing's going to happen to him. I do think that guy has a lot of balls because to just go in there and just slash your head open,
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes some guts right there.
And then like I guess from having a tracer put in, you would know exactly, well, you'd know the area that it was in, but you wouldn't know exactly. And to be digging around so close to like your spinal cord, I mean, like,
Yeah.
that takes a level of gusto I don't think I have.
Yeah, I know. Just to go in there, just no alcohol, nothing. Just start, cutting your head open.
Didn't even have like a good knife. He had to use a box cutter.
Yeah, man. Get the hell out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Then I guess that's where we start getting some characterization with people in the building. Just how they react to that situation.
Yeah.
Like the security guard. He was also, as much as freaked out as he was, he also knew that weapons would not help out the case. Like having everybody get weapons. But that's when you start seeing some in the chip with how Barry was trying to persuade him to give him the keys to get the gun.
And that's when like, oh man, when he pulled that whole shit. Well, before that, I think with because after after Mike gets out of the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
we see them start pulling things apart, and that's when they find the cameras and the microphones.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they're
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, they've been watching us the whole time. So yeah, we figure out that he got an eye, and then we see that interaction with Evan, the security guard, and Barry, where Barry's like he uses that thing, and if you've ever been in a situation that you didn't want to do something and like upper management is like you're gonna do it because I told you to, like it kind of like rings back to that kind of feeling. And if you've ever been there, like it's not a good feeling. And for Barry in the middle of like a crisis situation to be like, I'm your boss.
Yeah, yeah, that was messed up. Yeah,
Yeah, very messed up.
because first
And
he tried to guilt trip him, right? At first,
yeah,
then when that wasn't working, then he tries to like put the power to establish that he has more power than him.
yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up.
And then I liked Evan's reaction. He's like, "Well, then I quit."
Yeah, yeah, that's true. A lot of the reactions to these themes I thought was really funny because what's his name? The Wendell Dukes. Yeah, so when it started and he saw Mike, Leandro is going to go treat Mike, and he's he still has the hots for Leandro. So it's like, what's the thing with you and Mike? You guys like a relationship? You guys in a relationship? And he's like, hey, I see you give me the look, and I have those emails. And Leandro just went up to him and was like, fuck off. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, yeah, Wendell was like a creep throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole freaking movie.
He was terrifying. He was the most scariest. To me, he was the scariest one in the movie.
Yeah,
because he was
'cause
kind of
he's-
like a big dude.
He seemed like unhinged. And so like props to the actor for playing him, the guy from Scrubs.
Yeah, we'll just call him
I
Dr.
can't-
Cox, I
Dr.
guess.
Cox. Yeah.
I don't know his name.
No, he played him. He played him very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like made me believe the character.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a creep
Mm-hmm.
of a character.
This kind of goes back to, sorry to cut you off, like what we said about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because to me, Wendell's the most intimidating, but yet he still listened to what's his name,
Barry?
Barry, and it shows you like how much of a leadership skills, like, or just how charismatic Barry is in the way he leads people that I guess are just interested in him.
I think that had a lot to do with the way that he would speak about the situation. He was always like very calm, very level-headed. Where like Mike pieced everything together before anybody else, but he was trying to warn everybody in like a frantic way. I think if he would have had maybe like a more calm demeanor, like Barry did, maybe he would have had the charisma to kind of like
get people rounded up. And,
But we find out that Barry's able to stay so level-headed because he has military special forces experience.
So thank you for that. I was confused when they brought that up in the movie. I've seen it twice now, that line, because the way the guy who brought it up said it, he's like, it made no sense the way he brought it up. He's like, if this was a cage fight and stuff, and Bear was like, elaborate more. And he's like, not everybody has like military experience. And I was confused, like, is he talking about Barry, or is he talking about himself, or is he just talking in general? Like, I feel like the movie doesn't do a good job explaining, or like maybe showing like a specific direction of where that line was supposed to mean.
Well, he was trying to side the guy who says it. He's trying to side more with Mike and like, let's find a solution. Let's focus on getting out of here.
Yeah.
And for that reason, he's saying like, yeah, of course you, Barry, want this to turn into a cage match because you'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
because you have experience.
Right, yeah.
It's just, I guess the way it was delivered that came up, it kind of confused me.
Okay. Yeah. And I can understand that. But yeah. So then is it at that part that what's his name? Is it Sean Gunn?
Oh, Sean Gunn, yeah, the brother.
What's his name?
In the movie?
In the movie.
I don't know.
It's like Frankie or something. or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They kept calling one of the cafeteria guys. That's what they kept calling
Yeah,
him.
one of the cafeteria guys. Yeah, but that guy, the conspiracy is like starts dumping out the water.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, "There's chemicals in there."
Yeah.
And then the other guy's like, "That's gonna get moldy."
They were weird, almost like a dynamic duo. Those
Uh-huh.
two, yeah. It's the other guy too. It confused me because there's another guy that looked exactly like him in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got confused whenever I saw them, and because they both act very different
Are you talking about one of the guys that was with
with Barry.
uh-huh.
Yeah, they look so much
He had
alike.
a full beard.
Okay, no, but is that the one with the black hair?
Yeah, he had like a black and then like parts of it were graying.
No, that's not. I'm not talking about that guy. There's another one.
Well,
That
no, the friend of because the guy with the black and the graying, he was with Barry. Mm-hmm. There's another guy who looks sort of similar,
yeah,
and he's kind of with the like the maintenance, like the kind of the janitorial services.
okay, yeah, yeah,
And then there's the guy who is also with the conspiracy theorist guy.
yeah,
But he's clean shaven.
okay. I
And
guess
then so you're probably confusing the janitorial guy with the guy that's with Barry.
I'm definitely confusing the guy with Barry with the guy that was with Sean Gunn because they just had the same build
Oh,
and
okay.
everything. Yeah, I was definitely confusing them, but it wasn't until a second watch through that I was able to differentiate between both of them. The first time they just kind of, yeah, especially in one scene, one of them shot somebody. Then the next scene is just hanging out with Sean Gunn. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Just kind of did some fucked up shit. But then again, this is when stuff started going down. Mm-hmm. But then I guess just kind of jumping ahead. But that one, the one that was in Sean Gunn, dies. Mm-hmm. Then it cuts to the lobby, and the other one was throwing like the Molotov.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like, what
okay.
I was so confused. I was like, I could have sworn he just died,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but there he is. But I was able to realize watching it again, it's like, oh, they were different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the first time I was definitely confused.
And I think that happens more because those characters weren't really touched on
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
in the beginning. So like I said, they do a good job of like introducing the office dynamic, but only between a few people because they've only got like 10 minutes in the very opening to set that up. And so unfortunately, some characters don't get the explanation, and we don't get a tie to like why we should care about them.
Yeah.
And so those characters kind of seem expendable. It's still brutal when they
When they
die.
go. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're not as like heartbroken
Yeah.
because we didn't really get attached to them in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. You want to touch on, because it's kind of what got us to watch the movie, or got me to watch the movie and us to do a review about Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. Okay, yeah. So Michael Rooker's death, he's like towards the beginning. I guess he was after the 4. I don't
Maybe I'm wrong.
But yeah, so him and Lonnie go down to the basement because the AC's been shut off.
Yeah.
And they're gonna try to get the AC back working. And then
Is it Lonnie?
Lonnie has the freak out, and he's telling him like, yeah, they shut the whole AC off, the pilots off, everything. And then like Lonnie starts freaking out, like they're doing this to get us to kill each other or whatever. And he's trying to calm him down.
Maybe you're right. I guess that did happen first. Then if he says that,
Oh, really?
maybe I don't. I'm confused.
Well, because
Yeah.
no one had killed anybody at that point.
Yeah.
It was just the
Maybe that stuff happening.
yeah.
Okay.
And then so he freaks out and attacks Michael Rooker's character. I think they just call him Bud.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember his name.
Or like that's all Lonnie calls him anyway. But yeah, he attacks Bud and just whacks him straight on the head. And like that scene stuck out to me because like I think Michael Rooker plays it too well. Of just like someone's like higher brain functionings just like shutting down. And like I don't know, it made me feel some type of way the first time I watched it. I was like, oh, Like,
Is it too realistic?
yeah, it's just too real. And then like plus with like the head caved
Yeah,
in,
the head cave in. Yeah.
like I was like, oh man, like it just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first time I watched it, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
that one was like a little hard to watch
Mm-hmm.
for me. But yeah, and then so that's when Lonnie gets eyes on
Danny.
Danny
Mm-hmm.
sitting there chilling there, which like that was a good spot for her to chill.
Oh yeah. I mean, she
And
made.
then like yeah, cause she posted up there for a good portion
Yeah,
of
she
the
got kind of lucky too, because the one guy that did see her was the guy that kind of established he might have a crush on her already, or
yeah.
he might be attracted to her.
Uh-huh.
So he just let it go.
Yeah. So then she kills Lonnie's trying to kill her because she just saw Lonnie
Yeah.
kill Bud,
Mm-hmm.
and then she she's like got the arms wrapped around. She pushes off the thing and like he hits. I guess the back of his head hits the
Like some spoke or some.
some spike or
Yeah,
whatever.
something like that, and yeah,
Strategically placed spikes.
yeah, like freaking, come on, man. I was thinking about that. Like, a bunch of people would have died by now if it's that far out, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But so the death, when I first saw the Michael Rooker death, because I remember that's what you were talking about at work a lot. So that's what, yeah, got me to watch the movie. At first, he portrayed it well because he even had that concussed of trying to figure out where he was at and trying to realize what happened, and it was realistic because my brother, when he concussed, yeah, when he tried to do a backflip once and he landed on his head,
Ooh.
and I saw it happen. I was going to go talk to him to like figure out why he's okay, because I thought I just watched my brother paralyze himself, and as I'm walking up, he's like looking at me. He's like, "Did I just jump?" I was like, "Yeah, you just." To me, it was like, you obviously just jumped, but he doesn't even remember doing that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what that scene reminded me of. Like, it was the impact. He just doesn't remember it happening at
Yeah.
all. And it wasn't until the second time I saw it and I noticed the head dent. I was like, "Oh man, that looked kind of graphic," you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looked really. It looked realistic out of the whole movie. But one thing I thought about is like, as bad as it was, I'd rather be one of the first four people to go, because you don't have the anxiety of like, oh man, it might be me next. It might be. It just happens, you know.
Like if you're gonna die, you want to be one of the first.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't have that fear. You don't have that anxiety.
Yeah.
Then you die. So those couple of people that just went first, it's like, okay, then you have to suffer through the anticipation of maybe being chosen next to go.
It seems like they have like a ringing in their head before it happens though, because you see some of them like kind of like and then like boom.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Also, one of my complaints with the movie is like, would a bead that small
I know, yeah.
make an explosion that big? But I mean, like I guess like a tiny thing of C4 can make a big explosion, but it's just like, what would you make the bomb out of?
It's one of those things you just have to
Suspend
like, yeah, it's almost like some sci-fi elements almost.
Also like the whole like when Bud and Lonnie were trying to cut through the door, they're like, "Have you ever seen anything like this? What type of metal is this? I don't know." It was like, well, they're dealing with metal all the time. How do you not know? Like, it's just like, it's just so like fortunate that there's this metal that none of them have like ever seen that can keep them in from like going out and stuff like that, you know.
Was that metal from X-Men, adamantium? Yeah, or something like that.
Adamantium?
Yeah, adamantium. There we go.
You're thinking about unobtainium from Avatar.
Oh my bad.
Is unobtainium hard to obtain?
Oh my god. That is the question. But yeah, go on with the
Oh yeah. I forgot where it was.
with the metal and the bomb.
Oh yeah. Like, I guess things you kind of have to like suspend your disbelief for, because I feel like Bud kind of knew what he was doing as like a maintenance guy, and for a building of that caliber, and for him to know that there's like metal throughout the building, I feel like he would have known what type of metal that was. But I guess I don't know.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, I just kind of just let it be like it's this movie's thing, so just gotta let it go, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess with that, we're in the shits though. Like they try to build a. I thought another thing too. I guess in the beginning, I like how they tried to give it. They still had some moments of comedy in the beginning before shit got really real.
Yeah.
Because I like that scene where, I guess after Mike, Evan, and Leandra, they confront Barry, Wendell, and what's the other the friend, the guy that had like the English accent, the one that's trying to get the gun.
I can't remember what his name was, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, in the weapons room.
Yeah, in the weapons room. So I think that scene does a good job of establishing the opposition, like each side and their thought process. But then they also had like a comedy scene afterwards of like in the elevator, Evan was like bigging up Mike for shooting the canister, and when I just like you just want to blow him to get it over with, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I also like how when Leandro was mad at Mike, then they went to go talk it out.
Oh, and then
And
Keith.
then Keith was like, "Oh, you know, we heard."
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
No. Yeah.
Then it's like, yeah, I agree with you. You shouldn't have said "hey" like that.
Yeah. No, yeah. So we get to we get to the point where they're all in the kitchen. Because everyone knows this is real now. Like 4 people have died.
Yeah.
So people are looking for knives and stuff like that. Then they have the idea to do the
Sign.
signs. Yeah. Which, like, honestly, why wouldn't you just give it a go?
Yeah. What the sign?
Yeah, like, I mean, at the very least, like, what's I don't know.
Barry-
I feel like, yeah, Barry was just ready to get into the shit.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was too eager.
Yeah.
I
That's
feel
what
like,
that's what it lived for.
yeah, I mean, because like, I guess if you've already done stuff like that, I don't know though. I feel like I know a few like military personnel who wouldn't be so eager to get into the shit.
Well, in a way, Barry wasn't really ready because remember when he was actually he thought he remember he set up the plan to like he's gonna have to do it, kill people. But when the time came to actually kill people, he still had some trouble doing it.
A little bit.
Yeah, like to a point, like he hesitated.
He was too eager to get the plan started though.
I
in my
wonder
opinion.
if because of the military, he's just action oriented. Like you have to just maybe do these things. But it seemed like he still had trouble killing innocent people.
Okay.
Yeah, because Wendell had to like because he set up the whole plan. Like I'm going to do it because he's just a leader. He just wants to do these things. He already has like objectives because from the military, like how to just get the thing started.
Right.
But Wendell started to push him to go that extra mile.
Wendell pushed him?
Because when he was about to kill people, he hesitated. Then Wendell went up to like, hey, you gotta do this. Then he told one of the people to like just turn the music on so he doesn't have to hear it, and then he started.
I think Wendell asked him what they were doing.
But it's like to push him because he definitely hesitated to kill the first person.
I think the way I read that scene was Wendell was hesitating. And he was asking Barry, like, hey man, what are we doing?
But by that point, Wendell already killed somebody.
Yeah, but he killed somebody because he made him angry. Wendell's unhinged, but at the same time, like, they're about to start like a mass firing squad. And so I think it was at that point he's like, yo, what are we doing?
I took that the other way because Wendell already killed Evan.
Yeah.
And he killed that older guy, the old man. I saw it as Wendell, like saying, "Hey, don't bitch out now." Like,
oh really?
Yeah. Like let's like why are you hesitating? Let's do this. Then
agree to disagree.
Oh yeah, it's fine. But I guess they do a good job just showing the dynamic, the opposition of people who are going to do it. Even though that English dude, I understand because of the situation he was in, but I thought that guy was a bitch. The one with the but they already established he cares about his family, he's a family man.
Yeah.
But it's just like, dude, nut the fuck up, man. Like, I guess no, because you're going.
I don't know. I think he knew he picked the wrong side, but he was trying to increase his odds of
Like
making it home.
yeah, I understand. Like it's a personal thing. It's just the way he just, even when they were doing the execution, the way he was just like, "Oh, Mike, answer my gun, Barry," and shit like that. Like, dude, come on, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I see where you're coming from.
But it fits the character.
Yeah.
It's my personal complaint. That's
Yeah.
all. Hmm.
Um. Yeah. So like they go hang the sign,
Oh
and
my
like
bad, I'm jumping all over here.
no, that's all good. We know. So like one, and here's another one of my complaints is like I feel like Mike has such heavy plot armor
Yeah, that's what I'm
throughout
saying.
the whole movie. Like yeah, kind of to your point where you know nothing's gonna happen to him because like these things that are just like, oh, if it had been anybody else, they would have been washed by now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like since it's Mike and he's our protagonist, then like he's gonna be okay. Because they finish the signs, they go hang him up, or they're trying to hang them up, and then Keith gets shot in the hand.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they make the announcement, if anyone else tries to hang a banner, then
They'll blow it up.
yeah, they'll blow that person up. And then Mike tries one more time after the announcement.
Even as they're shooting at him,
Yeah,
and nothing still happens.
and yeah, they still don't blow him up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, either there's two ways you can look at that. Either he's a favorite of the people running the experiment, or he is, like just given super heavy plot armor. And either way you want to look at it, it just kind of seems lazy.
That actually goes into thought process. I had the exact same thought process too. Like, it seems like towards the end, the people they kind of gave characterizations to, like, that you give them, that got somewhat fleshed out, were the people that made it towards the end. And I thought about this, like, okay, in the movie world, did these people make it because they were action oriented, like they were doing things, and people were like, okay, these people are actually reacting well. Let's keep them going to the experiments, while the other ones are just scared and not really doing anything. Like, okay, those guys could go. So that's something I guess I kind of created for myself to explain why these certain people made it to the end. Because I don't know if they said it was going to be. They say anybody, right? It's supposed to be random. But if they're doing an experiment, maybe the ones that you see actually doing some objective, or just reacting and doing things to what you want in your experiments. Maybe you see, like, okay, let's see how they do moving forward. But yeah, the other point is like the plot armor for Mike. It was too much, because out of that whole thing, Keith is the only one that got injured. Like, Mike doesn't get, besides getting knocked out in on the staircase when the shit goes down. That's the only, like, he doesn't get injured once or nothing that really happens to him.
Yeah.
Until even until he start like fighting what's his name, until he starts fighting Barry at the end. But even then, like, I also thought, like, because the second watch through, this is when I started trying to piece whether maybe Barry's been in the military. And I was like, but Mike just beat a guy that's been in the military, so that's kind of
That is kind of weird plot armor, but he did get the jump on him, and he did hit him in the head.
True.
Which, I mean, like, kind of going back to the whole like being concussed thing, like, I think that's more realistic than a lot of like head injuries.
Yeah.
In like other movies where they're just like they get hit in the head and they're just like, oh, walk it off. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
that's true.
It's like you don't take a hit to the back of the head like lightly.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
like Mike was out on the floor for a little bit when his shit went down. But yeah, so we get there because like what happened.
My bad, I'm just skipping a little bit.
No, yeah, no, that's all good. At some point, I forget what happens. In the whole like shit on the rooftop.
Oh.
Everybody like starts heading back down.
So I guess after they've been warned and they shot at Mike, and it seems like Mike has a death wish, they all kind of just like, well, there's nothing you could do now. They
Yeah.
just kind of walked back in, and I guess that's where you.
That's when Mike gets knocked out, right? Yeah.
Right before, yeah, because that's when they establish like Mike, he cares about people.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wants everybody to be okay. That's when he starts questioning the validity of the work and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, Leandro was just there to like calm him down and.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's when he pieced together like, because he knew that this had all been planned,
Hmm.
but that's when he like realizes this was the plan from the moment that any of us were hired.
Yeah,
We were only here to do this.
they said something in that scene, or maybe a scene before, but I think it was between Mike and Leandro. He says like, "What if we're?" Somebody says like, "What if we're here for an experiment?"
Mm-hmm.
And Leandro's like, "No, that's impossible." I'm like, "You just saw people get their head blown off. At this point, man, who anything's possible."
Anything's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, for
you
sure.
know.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like, why was Mike the only one that could piece it together that fast?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we live in a universe where movies like this exist.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was in that situation, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is exactly what the hell's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
Obviously, we'll have people like people who are distraught.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what's going on to handling. But I do think a number of people could have would have came to the same conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess because Mike is our guy, he's our protagonist. He's going to be the one that just knows what to do and knows what's going on. And yeah, that was just the biggest problem. Like with it's just they gave Mike too much action hero qualities for supposed to be a random guy. You know.
Yeah.
So
We know he's not necessarily entry level though, because he did have an office. He had his own office in the beginning.
oh yeah, but I'm just saying like for a guy that's just supposed to be a guy,
Yeah.
he seems to just have all he's action oriented. He cares about people. He's very smart. So I know there are like people like that in the world, but it's just he has all the traits of a typical protagonist. And to me, it kind of just
You think that's just kind of lazy writing?
yeah. It's just like it like I already complained about this before. It's just like it takes away the suspense within his anything that happens with around him.
Mm-hmm.
Even like when they were getting executed and stuff like that.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, oh yeah, and what's his name? The friend had the gun pointed at his head and trying to convince him. I was like, oh well, Mike is gonna find a way to
There's
get out of
gonna
this.
there's gonna be some sort of Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah,
That's gonna,
yeah,
like, yeah.
everything, and
Yeah.
it's not even the movie created. It's Mike is the Deus Ex Machina. It seems like
Yeah, well, I mean, in that scenario, the particular like the execution scenario,
Yeah,
Danny actually comes to the rescue.
true.
Which I don't know if you're about to execute people, he's like, turn on some music or something.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
Because he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's trying to tune it out.
Well, so yeah, because they give them what like 2 hours to kill 30 people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, because they gave that right after they blew up the 4.
Yeah, after the 4, huh? That's the next,
Yeah.
next objective.
And then so they
round everybody up.
yeah they get into the argument about the weapons. I guess it was before the roof.
Oh yeah, it was before the roof. Because they get into argument about the weapons. Then they go and put the stuff on the roof.
Yeah.
Then as they're coming back down, that's when they get attacked.
Yeah. And then so they're trying to get in. He messes up the blowtorch. Then they then like you kind of see that because he was Mike. You kind of see Barry. You're like really turning into that like kind of like I'm calling the shots here.
Yeah.
'Cause, like Mike is like I think all the guns are safe staying where they're at, and he's like, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
And so you have that whole confrontation where like Leandro's getting mad at Mike because he's like antagonizing them in her eyes or whatever. Then you have the whole rooftop scenario, and then you have on their way down, I think, is when Wendell knocks out Mike, and then they get into that whole stare down with Evan and Leandra, and then Evan gets stabbed for the keys, which because he threw the keys down the stairs, and Wendell lost it.
Yeah.
And like that fucking line, he's like, he threw the keys down the stairs. What, and stabbing him was gonna make them fly back up?
Oh, who said that, Barry?
No, the British guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like Wendell just wanted an excuse to kill that guy.
Yeah. I feel like Wendell, like, we see on how unhinged he is later, like, especially when he's there's a scene in the cafeteria later where he's dragging the body.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, taking like little hacks at it, even though he knows the person's dead. Like, so yeah, Wendell just kind of seems unhinged throughout. Yeah. That's when they get the keys. They go to the storage unit. They get a whole bunch, and then I think that's when they realize that this whole thing has been. That's when that side of the group realizes that this whole thing has been set up by design, for everything to go down the way it is. Because he notices the number of guns and the number of ammunition is a lot for a security of a building to have. And he's like, yeah, this was part of it all along. So then they get everybody rounded up. He gets more ammo than everybody else because he's the one that's going to pull the trigger on everybody.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that if you're gonna make this heinous thing happen, like, and you're gonna set it in motion, like, yeah, I guess at least have the guts to be the one to carry it out. So I respected him for that as a character, but at the same time, like, very, very, like, cruel thing to set in motion. They do try to kind of like show a little humanity. They're like, anyone who has kids under the age of 18, go ahead and stand by this wall.
Yeah.
Kind of like excluding them, so they know definitely who they can't kill.
Old people and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well,
Then they like divided by kids, then people who are old.
people who are old, like, yeah, if you were older than 60, they were definitely gonna murk you.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel? I mean, I guess you explained that execute. One thing I would say I give this movie props for. Even as it goes on, you're gonna maybe realize you guys are going to realize that I think I like it more than you do. I actually like the movie, but it made me start thinking like, what if I was in that situation? That's what I kept thinking in that movie throughout the whole movie. Like, man, what would I do? And I just imagine like the execution scene. That is definitely a terrifying situation to be in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, people have guns and they're deciding your fate for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Yeah, the execution scene I think was, to me, the peak of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, the execution and on. Yeah, I'll say more so the execution because it hasn't gone so deep into a far end. It becomes just, you know, just kind of like, it's almost like it got somewhat goofy in a way as the movie went on. But it was still somewhat grounded enough to be kind of scary.
Okay.
In that situation, at least, because as the movie goes on and people's heads start, it's almost like they made a joke of, even though it's supposed to be scary, it's almost like the movie kind of makes a joke of it too.
I think they had to do that.
Yeah.
Just because you see a lot.
Yeah, you
like,
do.
You see, as far as brutality goes, like, there's a lot in this movie.
It sounds really good.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I didn't remember how brutal the movie was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Until I watched it again, and So like there's the one guy who doesn't want to go in the line with the people who are about to get murked,
Yeah.
like the over 60, and then like the people that were hand chosen, because the over 60 crowd was only like 7 people.
Yeah, yeah. Because Barry was disappointed.
Yeah, and so they just start just picking out people at random from the crowd. I guess people Barry doesn't like.
Yeah, because he definitely picked Mike.
Yeah, it just kind of seemed like that.
Could you imagine? That's people he didn't like. That's how he based the selection, dude. Oh, that's fucked up.
What if it was like based on their like performance?
Oh yeah, that's the performance review right there. That's how you know you failed. You die.
Bro, I'd be the first one in that
Oh,
line, bro.
you don't get your raise. Yeah.
Send my raise to my family.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, and so they start going. They start to a Spanish rendition of California Dreaming.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to die to that song, bro. Like,
What would you want to die to?
oh, I don't know.
I'll be like, my neck, my back. That's how I want to go.
Music make you lose control.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. But not too close by next.
Oh, well, how's someone go?
Baby, when we grind, I get so
Yeah.
excited. No, definitely not to that one. I don't know.
But
Maybe-
you were describing the
Yeah,
execution.
yeah. So like it was a lot because like you see, and that scene really hit too because like the actors, it's so messed up, but like they do a good job of making you believe that they're like pleading for their lives, which is like, yeah, again, like really messed up. But they played it well. I don't think there was like the whole cast. I know like not everyone gets shown for a long time, but I thought they had a really strong cast. Like there didn't seem to be any like weak links.
Yeah, not
like
really.
I believed everyone's performance.
They all did a good job.
Yeah, and especially for like no one. Well, there's a few bigger names in this movie, but there's no like top tier A-listers, and for the entire cast to be able to make you believe their emotions and their reactions to everything that's going on, like without having any of those top tier A-listers, like fantastic.
Yeah, they did a good job.
But yeah, and it just makes that scene so much harder to watch because they do such a good job of just like making you believe they're like sitting there pleading for their lives, and then just being taken out like one by one.
And it, like I said earlier, it's like it's still, that's the scene, at least to me, that still had somewhat of the grounded violence before it goes over the top.
Yeah.
Because before things go haywire and just start seeing more killing. But it's like even when the people are getting executed, it was so grounded. It adds to it too, to me, because it just seems the way they were reacting seemed somewhat realistic. And the sound effects in this movie, you said it already, but it's like it's amazing. Like when they were getting shot in the head, it seemed like everything had weight to it. And that scene when they were getting shot, the gun sounded real. The sound effects of like them getting shot in the head sounded real too. So it makes it seem, yeah, it just makes it even more horrifying, and you kind of get queasy. At least for me, I guess I somewhat got queasy from everything.
I don't know that I got queasy because like I mean I've seen gore galore, but I definitely like I felt some type of way like watching the like pleading of the lives and stuff like that. Like yeah, that was a lot for me. I was like, dang, like this got really dark really fast.
Yeah, it got really dark. Yeah,
but yeah,
that's when Danny comes
Danny
out.
saves the day.
She opens the door. It's like hell no.
Mike's about to get
Yeah,
because like even like homie with the accent was like screaming in frustration because he seemed like he was like there was no way out of it, like he had to shoot Mike.
Yeah,
And like he was just screaming in frustration as he's about to pull the trigger, all of a sudden the lights go off.
Yeah, that's when shit just
Yeah.
that's when the movie flips.
Everyone just
Bailing.
dips. And then like you still see Mike's humanity to a level that like, I'm just gonna put that out there. I would be out for probably like me and maybe my girl.
Yeah.
At that point, but like Mike's still about it. Like he was trying to get Peggy up the stairs.
Yeah,
He went back for Peggy. I would be like, Peggy's dead. Like, you know. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's funny.
like, oh, the left Peggy's head.
Yeah.
No, she seems so nice though too. Like I wanted her to make it, and I guess she made it kind of far. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, he's like helping Peggy up the stairs and stuff like that. Everybody's kind of running. And then I guess that's when we see Roberto on the elevator.
Oh, okay, yeah, go on.
Because there was already like a dead body and he's using it to try to get up there. And then he's like, oh yeah,
Danny opens up and sees Danny.
yeah.
I want to touch on that, but I'll wait till you're done.
Oh yeah, because I don't even think they get done climbing up just yet. Because they're still in the elevator when they don't reach the goal. So yeah, so at the end of the killing spree, because it's just bullets are flying at that point because everyone's just running because the lights are off, and people are getting shot at left and right. So yeah, I think Leandra gets split up from
Mike.
Yeah, and Mike takes cover with like Peggy and a few others. In like one floor of the offices or whatever. Leandra gets separated on a different floor. She ends up being pursued by the British guy.
Yeah, and she had the opportunity to kill him.
Yeah, because she played it smart. She played it really smart. She did the whole like fake the shoes in one corner.
Oh yeah.
And which was a thing that I was gonna say about Danny's character is, because even after the guy that we talked about that kind of like passes her up because he like may have had a crush on her or whatever, he actually goes back to the spot.
Oh damn!
And then sees that she's not there. Which like,
do you think went back to try to
after?
Sorry, go on.
He might have gone back to try to kill her just to get a number. Because I mean they needed all the numbers they could get. I probably, as Danny, would have left that spot for a different spot with a vantage point on my original spot. You know what I mean? So then someone knows where I'm at, tries to go to that spot where I was at, and then just murk him from behind.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, that's probably getting too into.
I mean, I mean, like I said, I put myself in the movie. I didn't go as far as thinking how I'm gonna kill people, but I was just like, what would I do in that situation? So it's fine.
Yeah. But so then we get to the point where, yeah, like you said, Leandra does the whole like the whole fake out with the shoes thing. And then yeah, she just freaking
she whacks his hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then she like whacks his like leg first.
Okay.
Then he falls. Then he like goes for the gun. She like whacks his hand, and then like yeah, and so she's sitting there with like the freaking, because it's like a paper cutter thing. She took the blade off and just was like genius right there. Like really good looking out. It kind of shows you that like she's, because kind of like it kind of gave me more points for her in my book, because at the like, you know, kind of to your point where you were saying like, oh, that's impossible or whatever. Yeah. It's like you see all this stuff going on, you think that's impossible.
Yeah.
It kind of makes her look dumb, but then like this gives her points back in my book, because like she's able to like, oh yeah, I'll take the blade off of the paper cutter and use it as a weapon. Like, okay, yeah, that was like really smart.
Yeah.
And then doing the whole like fake out the corner thing. So she's smart. She just, I think she was in disbelief.
Yeah.
At the situation. So yeah, then she has the opportunity to kill the British guy, and had she done it, they could have saved themselves from what happens next.
Yeah, that's when the movie just goes all the way in. After she, to me, after she didn't kill him, but to me, that's where it was definitely gross, that scene, because all the heads exploding and you just kind of hear it. And the part that got me was the desk. Remember Sean Gann's character, the conspiracy theorist, was just yelling all in my head as each table was bouncing from the explosion. I thought that was a cool scene, but I think that's what, to me, it got less grounded because they were playing the music as it's happening and all these explosions just happening and stuff like that. So, but like you said, maybe the movie did that just to, because without that, it'd just been very dark, But it's like they're kind of making it somewhat of a joke to add a little bit of like dark humor or like levity to all those people dying.
Yeah. I think they had to, because if they didn't add any type of humor, like that's just that many people being eliminated at one time is like so dark.
Yeah, it is.
If you didn't have some kind of like thing to have like as a barrier, like it probably would have been too much.
Yeah.
And they may have like
maybe test audiences won't take to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they may have played with it and like tested it out certain ways and found that like it worked best that way. Because I definitely appreciated that they added some humor to it, because it was, otherwise it would have been like too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see like this symphony of exploding heads, pretty much.
People just
Um,
Keith goes out.
Keith is
he's the last one. Yeah, that sucked, man.
Yeah, no, and like they kind of used him as like a dark humor, because he's like, it stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing with Keith too, it goes to how like the deaths are. You can see the brain matter on the wall as he like leans over from his head exploding. I was like, damn, they went even that much detail to add like the specks and shit. Yeah. But it was sad to see Keith go.
Yeah. One I forgot to touch on this, but like one shot that like really impressed me, and it's when they're rounding everybody up to kind of do like the whole like execution style thing in the lobby. We see it from Leandra's perspective, and it probably looks really dumb like while they're filming it, but it made for a good shot afterwards. Is we see the camera kind of circling all the way around the room.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of get to see everyone like experiencing this moment together. And I forget what music is playing. I think it's like a classical tune. And like, yeah, so the camera's just sweeping all the way around the lobby, and you see kind of everyone just reacting to, I think it's like maybe 4 people that have died at that point. And they're like moving the bodies behind the desk so they don't have to like look at them or whatever. And it's just, it was a really good shot. And they would have done, I guess, sweeping around the camera, circular, from the center of the room, and then a separate one where Leandra's in the middle and the camera circles her. And that part probably looked dumb.
I mean, that's just filming.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna work.
Because like it would have just been Leandra, the actress who plays Leandra, like sitting there like turning her head around, a couple times before they were done. But it made for like a really good shot. It just kind of lets you explore that, like kind of from her eyes, just looking around and seeing everyone in such despair.
And hysteria and stuff like that.
Yeah. And just like really, really puts you back into it. Cause like you get to see everything from like, like a God perspective. Cause it's not a handheld movie. There's like, you're not seeing it from someone's perspective the entire time. And so to be able to go back to like a shot like that, where you kind of get to experience it from her eyes, it just kind of like, it makes it more real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we're there. We pretty much see every explosion, I think.
Yeah, that. Um, some you just hear.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
some you just, like the ones under the table. You could see just the tables like bouncing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could hear the noise.
But we're there for it.
Yeah, yeah.
If
Oh, I
that
see what
makes
you
sense.
mean.
Like,
It's not like off screen.
yeah.
But actually, it goes into one thing I was going to talk about. I don't know if I want to save it for the ending or we could talk about it now. But the guy that was writing the letter for his family, we never see him die.
Yeah, we just see his body afterwards.
Oh, we see his body?
Yeah. Cuz he
He,
goes to hide in the
uh
freezer.
huh.
Cuz you see all the stuff that was in the freezer out and you kind of see him like
He
open
closing.
the door and then
Yeah.
close it back again. And then yeah.
When do we
Like
see his body?
it's after the big explosion. So we can go right into it now. But yeah, so after the explosion, or like everybody's heads exploding, then Keith was the last one. Then Leandra heads back to the lobby.
Yeah. To go reunite with Mike.
Yeah. And then at this point, I think the announcement came on to say that they were in the final stage of the game.
Yeah, yeah. After this, the heads blew up, then it was the final stage.
Yeah. And so they announced that whoever has the most kills at the end is going to be allowed to live.
Yeah.
And they read off the tally of like I think when no so
Oh, I think it was-
Barry had 11.
I think
Wendell had 7.
7. I don't remember the other ones.
I think the custodial guy had 1 because they killed that one guy that was trying to kill them in the lobby.
Okay.
They kind of did it as a group, but I guess he was the one that like kind of finished him off. And then
Danny had one.
yeah, Danny had 1, and then that made like Roberto. He's like, "Oh, you've got to kill."
Yeah.
Like,
They took his hand off her shoulder.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Going to Roberto, actually, I think he had the worst death in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And deaths like that involve things that you use on a daily basis, like it just kind of makes it like that much more scary because the next time like you're on an elevator, you're gonna think about that, or
Yeah.
at least me.
Oh yeah, I understand. It's just like you can't control it. You know, the elevator, it's going to go up there and just
Yeah,
and it's like it keeps going, so you're just getting crushed, and it's not like Rooker's character's death. You know, he got hit, but because he was so confused and disoriented, maybe the pain didn't set in before he went. But with getting crushed by an elevator, you get the anxiety of like, oh shit, I can't stop this, and just getting crushed. So I feel like that's very painful.
I wonder how they did that safely.
Like shooting wise.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because safety is like one of your number one concerns when you're shooting anything like that.
I can imagine like it wasn't like a real roof. Maybe you just had it calm down and he just reacts like he's getting crushed.
Oh, okay, like a CG roof.
No, not like a CG. More like it's like a set, but maybe
Yeah,
they give you the illusion of the elevator going up, but it's not the elevator going up. It's just like maybe they're lowering the top.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it's part of a set, especially the way that the lighting was done really well. There's not a lot of places to put lights in an elevator shaft. You know?
Yeah.
So they probably would have had to make that a set, but like for them,
I think it's like foam. I can imagine it's like a foam roof.
foam roof.
Yeah, then he
Okay.
just has to do the job of like acting, and they're triggering the blood coming out of his
But
mouth.
like a more sturdy foam, so it doesn't like bend. all
yeah,
the
yeah,
way.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because I know with Saw, that was like one of the things is like how do we do this safely? The room that closes in, that was all done by hand.
Okay, yeah.
It was just like wooden walls, and they would like push, and they would tell them, okay, stop pushing, and, like stuff like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, really interesting though. Like it made for a good shot. Like you believe he's getting crushed by the
Yeah.
elevator, because you kind of you see it from both sides. They show like his front torso and like him being kind of like crushed, and
Yeah.
like Danny's just sitting there having to watch.
And Barry also reacting like, "How come this shit's not going up?"
Yeah, and then like you also see the legs on top, like
Yeah,
kind of
dangling.
like
Oh my god.
like struggling.
I would hate to go out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get blown up.
Yeah, pretty much. That was like you said, that was probably one of the worst deaths in the whole
Yeah.
movie.
To me, that's the worst one. Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, at least.
Um.
I have a thing with deaths where like I'd rather just go. I don't want anxiety before going.
Yeah.
I don't want a lot of pain.
Uh huh.
Yeah, and that one had all of it.
Right. Yeah.
But
Um.
But yeah, at this point, we've gone into complete mayhem, and everybody's like in that whole Call of Duty free for all mode.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, because at that point, like when you hear like only the person with the like top deaths is gonna make it,
Yeah,
like
it's just everybody from themselves.
yeah, pretty much. And then like that's when it's like it's on site.
Yeah,
Everybody you see pretty much,
just getting shot.
which is crazy because like at um the conspiracy Sean Gunn and then the guy that he's with, like they're still a duo.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it, yeah, Leandra, yeah, meets up with them. They're pulling all the bombs out of the heads, that haven't exploded yet, and then they make their way to the,
Like the cafeteria or some room.
well, they make it to the floor first, right? Or no?
No, it's like the cafeteria.
Oh, the
'cause they had to
cafeteria
fight.
first.
They fought Wendell.
Oh yeah.
They
And then
used
so
like,
that's
the tables as
the body that Wendell is dragging in and hitting is the guy who was hiding in the freezer.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense now.
yeah. So we see Wendell.
How do you feel about that scene?
I mean, if you take into account like Leandra like probably doesn't have gun experience, I could see her like only hitting him in the arm maybe. I don't know. I feel like center of mass you could have gotten somewhere in the chest.
Oh, okay. I think I would just add in extra shit. I see her more not being able to because like you said, no training.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I
I
know you have to like suspend your disbelief, but like there's levels to it. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I could say this for somebody that I thought shooting was easy. When I first shot a gun, I see in the movies that people do it. And I thought it was easy. In real life, you kind of have to have some experience to be as accurate. You know,
But all the way in the shoulder.
I could suspend my disbelief with that. You know, because somebody hasn't shot a gun before, and I can't imagine them like getting like a chest or a headshot. I feel like it's a saying in Nigeria that we use for soccer, but it says like anywhere belefis, which means it's for soccer, and it's just like your accuracy sucks. So it's basically wherever your body faces, that's where it goes. So when I saw that, I was just like, I can't imagine.
All right.
I mean, I'd rather have her. I could see the thing is like the shoulder and stuff like that. I didn't complain too much. I'd rather have her have the shoulder, than have her have like a straight on headshot or kill shot because that would take me out.
Okay. Yeah, a headshot I would not have believed.
Yeah.
But like a chest shot or like a stomach, somewhere in the torso I would have believed. But like winging him in the arm,
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So then we get to they all duck behind the table because he starts popping off.
Yeah.
The bigger guy gets shot out like right away. And then like she starts telling Sean Gunn like, push the table with me or whatever. And like they make it a good distance, and then homie gets shot in like the throat.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to go.
Yeah.
Because as she's going to go kill Wendell, he's in the back, most likely like just
Like, she's still going.
yeah,
like,
no, just like him, yeah, but just him in pain, like suffocating and on his own blood and shit like that.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But then then she gets up and then she just axes that man in his face, and we see more shots of her swinging than we do of the connecting. Probably because, I mean, you only got like one chance to get that. Like, if you've spent money to have like a what is it called, like a mannequin head, or like a replica of someone's head made, and you only got like one chance at smashing that thing right on camera. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true. Like you can't fuck it up.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you really can't, because I mean, I think those things are pretty expensive to make, like fake heads and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um,
That was a satisfying death because
yeah,
it made Wendell so unlikable throughout the movie. So when he finally gets his comeuppance especially by Leandra, out of all people,
yeah,
so it's like you're happy to see that, and
yeah.
that's why I go into like how we're saying, do we have to add our own explanation of how come these people made it to the end? Because when they're just exploring the heads, the Teddy heads, it wasn't any of those people. Like it wasn't when, like, if it was super random, it could have been Wendell should have, could have gone, or Barry, but all those people, the people that kind of have like some fleshed out characterization, they made it past that whole wave. And
Not Peggy,
well,
not Keith.
yeah, but it's like the ones that add on to the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
they
yeah,
all made
I
it through.
got you. I was hoping Peggy and Keith would have made it.
Oh yeah, but I mean they weren't really doing much besides just maybe being likable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
so
know. Like when I saw like the person beside like Peggy blow up, I was like, oh, thank God it wasn't Peggy. And then like
yeah,
later on, Peggy just, pff, I
yeah,
was like, dang, they killed Peggy.
yeah. I mean, I wish they killed Mike. Not because I don't like Mike, because that plot armor,
That plot armor
that
was
plot
too.
armor is too much.
Yeah, that's some thick ass plot armor.
Yeah,
Thick with two C's.
yeah, yeah,
No.
for sure, man. But I guess after they kill Wendell, they go to the first floor, and that's where Peggy and I mean not Peggy, Leandra and
Yeah, because they got
and
on
Mike.
the intercom. She's
Yeah,
like, I'm on the first floor. Come find me, Mike, if
yeah.
you can.
Mike risked it all for some ass.
That's his girl,
I know, I'm just
man.
messing around.
If it was my girl, I mean, like, I feel like my girl wouldn't be dumb enough to give her location away like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, we would be working to find each other. You know what I'm saying?
See that scene took me out because it's like after the waves, like of course Leandra, who's Mike's girlfriend, is gonna make it too.
Yeah.
So, but what they did, I guess they did redeem themselves to me later on, involving their relationship.
Oh, wait. So they don't go to the cafeteria first because they go to the intercom. They give the message, and Sean Gunn and Guy are still there.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Then they go to the cafeteria.
Then they go to the cafeteria.
Wendell thing. Mm-hmm. And then you were trying to flip it around on me, bro.
Oh, really? I mean,
Nah, but anyway, yeah. So then like they meet up, and he finds.
but that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't meet first, Mike. And,
No, yeah.
No, they met after
she
Wendell.
met with what's her after they were putting the bombs together, whatever. But he grabs Hazel. She was off this on the same staircase that Evan got murked at. She was just kind of chilling there, like asleep or whatever. And then Mike comes in, and then is like, "We can't stay here. It's not safe." And so like, I feel like Hazel could have made it if Mike didn't take her from that spot. Because like the next thing we know, Mike's meeting up with Leandra, and Hazel's like chilling there, and then she just takes a Molotov straight to like the body, bro, and like just goes up in flames right in front of them.
Yeah, that's another way to go out. I mean, that's another bad way to go out.
Because some dude decides he's the Molotov thrower,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the freaking group.
Before that, I like the scene they show with Barry. It shows how Barry is just very like objective oriented. Because that one woman he has like the hots for, the really attractive woman,
right.
she comes up, trying to give her body so she could be spared. And they kind of trick you, like, okay, maybe we might go through with it. And it's like save a bullet and fucking snaps her neck.
Yeah.
I like that scene because it shows like Mike doesn't give a fuck about this shit.
I'm with
And-
Barry on that.
I mean,
one.
Barry, my bad. Yeah, Barry
I
doesn't
think
give.
like, because doesn't Barry have like a wife and kids? at
He
home?
has a wife and kids, but
Yeah.
like in that situation, who cares about getting laid, dude? You can't even.
Right,
I
that's
mean,
what
I
I'm
don't mean
saying.
to be descriptive, but I doubt you could get it hard in that scenario. Like some people find
With
a
like
way.
brain matter all over the place.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
doesn't seem like the time and place. Like I know she's trying to like appeal to like his animalistic nature or whatever, but it's like you gotta be
No,
realistic with that.
also
Like,
because she noticed that she like from the beginning, they had like an interaction where she kind of smiled at him. Then the moment they cross paths, she rolled her eyes because she knows he finds her attractive. And after that,
oh,
the shot was him like looking up, like thinking, "Oh man, she's so hot," type stuff.
oh
So it's
really?
like a callback to that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So that's why she thought she could get away
Uh,
by offering her body to Mike.
nah.
Yeah, I mean to Barry.
I mean, like I get why you thought that, but that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we
But
we got stuff to do here.
that's the thing. It was the wrong one because Barry's just objective oriented. Like he wants to get this shit done. While with her, I can see why because she just wants to survive. It's like I
Yeah.
already know this guy wants to bang me. Let me just give it to him. So
Yeah.
you let me go. But
She misread the situation.
no, yeah. It's also like he could have pulled some GTA shit. He could have got he could have banged her, then fucking shoot her right afterwards,
Oh,
like they're doing
damn.
GTA.
That's some like assassin type
Well,
stuff.
yeah, that's what people do in GTA a lot.
That's
They get-
not fair. That's not fair. You can't do that.
Oh, it's not, but
Like
People
I don't
do
know.
it.
I see movies where like the lady like assassinates the dude afterwards. I'm like, no, you can't.
hey man, at least
I was in a vulnerable moment. You can't.
at least he went out, man. He
But
went out.
I
Yeah, at
don't
least he
know.
got that another off before.
I guess.
Yeah, but but yeah, that's when things kind of culminated in the lobby scene with well, Barry met up there, and that got the Molotov
Yeah.
cocktail, Mike and Leandra. And that's why I said they redeemed themselves to me with that relationship because they run to the staircase and they got shot at by Barry. And at first you think they make it, then it showed that Leandra got hit.
Yeah,
and I was kind of happy about that. Not because I want her to die. It's just like, okay, at least something happens that doesn't go in Mike's way.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like I have beef against Mike.
I mean, you kind of do just because of like how thick the plot armor is. It's like you want something to happen, just to like kind of take that off.
Yeah.
Just like he's not gonna get through this unscathed or whatever. I mean, I don't know. He's supposed to be like the compassionate one out of everybody.
Yeah.
So like I guess like the whole thing of the movie is that like just him being in that scenario and seeing like his like co-workers being killed off is punishment for him.
Which they kind of touch up on the ending, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I don't know. There's just too many fantastical things that happen that save him last minute. That you're just like something needs to go wrong.
Yeah, yeah. It was just too much. Like I complained about earlier. Just out of the whole wave, of course his girlfriend makes it. She's not one of the random people.
Right.
And she's fine. And they meet in the lobby. It's just like, is this guy going to take an L?
Yeah.
Then so when she gets shot and she dies, like I was just like, okay, at least something happens.
Right.
And that's when he goes freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Yeah, because I think at that point, like they're the only two left.
yeah, him and Barry.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I guess a clash of ideologies, and that's me adding my whole extra shit.
Yeah. Because then so he dips out with Leandra, puts her in like the supply closet with him or whatever, and he's talking about like you stay awake and we're gonna go far away from here and all this like BS. I kind of on my second watch through, I just kind of skipped through that part.
Oh yeah,
I was like
too lovey-dovey.
I was like, I mean, you already know she's gonna pass. Like
yeah.
she's about to die. Then like
They did it on movies all the time,
Yeah,
like somebody gets lit the fuck up, and you see that one guy going back. I gotta go get to him. Like, dude, that man has holes in him. Dude. He's gone.
Get what the fuck?
Yeah, get wet. You're like Terry Crews. Get wet the fuck up. I hate when they
that
do that
dude in the
moves.
lobby got what the
Yeah, and he seems so surprised too.
because like
'Cause
Wendell's
Barry-
like let him go. Don't.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I
He
see.
just
Yeah,
what the fuck.
yeah. I thought you talk about the guy with the is it Molotov cocktail?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he got shot, he seemed so surprised, like Barry, why?
Barry, no.
Yeah,
Like, stop it.
yeah.
Nah.
So
But then so then she dies in the closet, and Mike's got
That's
this
funny.
newfound rage.
That's a funny sentence to say. She dies in the closet.
She
She,
does-
doesn't even bother coming out the closet. She just dies in there. My bad.
Don't spend your life
Yeah,
in the closet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't die in the closet.
yeah.
But yeah. Where was I going with that?
You just talking about Mike gets his rage.
Oh yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
like newfound rage and strength and what have you.
It
Then
goes
he
mono.
yeah, well like he dips out of the room that he's in, kind of just like busts out, and then what's his name? Barry follows him, and then like Barry's like, "Oh, I know you went in this room. Where'd you go?" And then while he's like looking low, he comes up from up top and just kind of like knocks him with whatever he had in his hand. I don't was it that big
Yeah,
clothespin?
yeah, dude. When I saw that in the beginning, I was like, that should have been your first tip off that this company is kind of fucked up. Because that was it Roberto? Yeah, like was it the?
Like a huge clothespin?
Yeah, I was like, why is that shit so big, man?
Yeah.
Like some, fucking King Kong level type stapler.
I feel
using
like
or something like that.
the prop master probably like found that in a garage sale and was like, we got to put this in a movie
Yeah.
or something, you know? So-
That show's ridiculously big, man.
yeah. No, yeah. So like knocks him over the head with that, and then he's on the ground, and they do their little wrestle song and dance.
Yeah. The fight scene was good. I mean, it made sense. Then I guess they knock over. That's but it made sense like in a movie of like they're just fighting. I already said I don't see Mike beating Barry because Barry has more experience, but I mean he did get hit in the head, so he's disoriented.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
But-
I know. I just said that, but I'm like, I don't know if I believe it.
Yeah,
You know, like-
that's what I was trying to you get at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
because
and then he gets him with like the leg lock.
yeah, it's almost like I thought it was a red naked choke, but yeah, it ended up being like a leg lock. He gets him in, then he grabs some stuff and hits him in the head. But yeah, so if he gets hit in the head in the beginning, yeah, he could be disoriented. But to me, I was like, as mad as Mike is, I don't see how he could beat somebody with experience like that, the military experience. But I just at the first time I watched it, it didn't bother me because I didn't remember. I was still confused. I was still kind of confused about that line I said earlier about the military thing. I didn't know it was directed towards Barry. So the second time I saw it, that's when I was like, wait, Mike beat a guy that's used to be in the military and it's kind of
Yeah.
experiencing this stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
but and it goes. I think this is okay. Now I guess I can't even lie anymore because I'm figuring out as I go. I don't like Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. But it's because of the way he's written. Because this goes into the next scene after this. Then I can elaborate more about Mike.
Okay.
But yeah, with the fight, because they were like tussling and rolling around, it didn't bother me. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, just the sheer like mass of the two. There's no way Mike holds him in that lock. I feel like, and I guess like maybe that's why Mike needed to reach for something.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and whack him over the head. But like, I don't. Yeah, just based off of their sheer mass, the two actors, I don't believe it. But then yeah, he grabs the ending shot is like really well done.
Yeah, it doesn't
'cause-
even seem like it's part of the same movie.
Well, like there was a lot of attention paid to it, and it was like they're showing the demise of Barry, but like they show it in like this very very cool, like almost kind of beautiful way.
Yeah, like angelic way with the
Yeah.
lights from the projection.
Yeah, because like in the midst of their fight, they accidentally start like a training video on the projector, and like that kind of goes into like the
Explaining the
yeah,
company.
explaining the company, yeah, like and talking about like how much they get paid and stuff like that. So kind of to go to your point, like when you're being paid so much, like you're not really asking why you're getting paid that much. You just
You just kind of
are
do it.
uh-huh. And so then we get this shot from not from like the projector's view towards the wall, but the opposite way from
Mike's
like
back.
from behind Mike, facing towards the projector. So all we see is like really Mike's silhouette, and just like the blinding light from the projector like around him, as he's like
Whacking his
going
head.
in again and again, like for the with the I think it's like a tape roll.
Yeah, I think so.
And like you see like because it's done in slow mo and you see like the blood dripping off of it, and it's just like this very like I think it ends at some point, like it comes back around to the other side, to the you see Mike's front side with like kind of like the projector kind of bleeding onto his face with some of like the graphics and stuff that are part of the presentation, and talking about like winning and success and stuff like that. And so like all just very well, that shot was very well thought out.
It doesn't even, to me, it seems like it's not even part of this movie. I wouldn't even be surprised if somebody else came and shot that scene because it's so much different from what we've seen earlier.
I don't I don't know that I would say that. Because kind of like to go back to the other shot that I was explaining that was done really well, and it was kind of done similarly in the lobby. I think there are shots where they realize like this needs to be kind of slowed down to kind
Okay.
of like you need to take this moment in. And I don't know if they were done as like an afterthought or if they were like original, like maybe they were added in later. I think I want to say that the battle between Mike and Barry at the end was shot that way originally, but I could see them adding in the thing with Leandra kind of looking around the room, as a kind of like need to ground you into the situation, because maybe the deaths don't hit as hard when you're not like brought back to being in the shoes of someone in the situation. Because even then, like I guess like watching it, I was like, oh, I wouldn't have made that mistake there. I would have done this instead, and I would have like all the reasons why I would have made it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, which is I guess is normal to do in a movie like this. Like when you're watching like Hunger Games or something, you're like, oh, that fool died because he was dumb. And then,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, and then when you really put yourself there and like kind of take into account like all of the emotions that you would be feeling because these are the people that you work with, you know, all those things, it kind of like
Also, you don't get the extra information like the movie gives you because the movie shows you different scenes that you're able to piece these together. In real life, you just experiencing what you see and stuff around you.
And just like again to just like portray like the sheer agony that everyone is in, like just the emotional distress of just the situation in general. Like you wouldn't be at your on your A game. Like you're gonna be distraught because you would have seen many people that you care about like get killed right in front of you.
Yeah.
So just kind of ground you and bring you back to that, like, hey, you know, you might think you're big and bad, but like this would ruin you. This would ruin anybody. Except for like Barry, who seemed to thrive in this
Yeah.
situation. You know what I mean?
Shit, Barry and Mike. Mike is just driving this situation too.
Yeah. Uh, he was trying to do it without
Yeah.
hurting anybody, and
Yeah.
I think at the end of the movie, he only had the one kill, which was Barry.
I think it just shows like different. That's why I think that they also made sure to have Barry versus Mike at the end, and also have it like with the Belko thing going in the background. It just shows like there are different ways of handling things, and it's, I guess maybe it's me adding more symbolism, and it's just their ideologies at this. I guess at the end clashing. Yeah, actually like literally clashing at that point. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so because throughout the whole thing, it's Mike trying to protect people and be level-headed about this and trying to figure out ways to escape. While, like you said, Barry, wanted the weapons and just kill people, get the objective done. And it's like both sides. It's like this guy's wanting to just kill people to make sure that he gets home safe, while this guy's trying to protect people the whole time. And here they are at the end fighting because of this company. That's why I think they have like the Belko shape playing in the background. It's like the company the experiment has pitted these two types of people against each other. Let's see who wins. And I think that's why they made it look so beautiful and shot it so like angelic and shit like that.
Yeah. And I think like Barry's kind of his last words kind of carry some weight too, because he tells Mike, he's like, you didn't change like a damn thing.
Oh yeah.
And then Mike was like, neither did you.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
it's like
kills him. Yeah.
so it's like after all that, nothing changes. you
Yeah.
know.
Because I mean, like, even the people running it, he like say at the very beginning, like, whether you choose to like get into it and like actively participate or not is of no consequence, because you'll be giving us the data you need either way.
Yeah.
Like
And I think also it goes back to like, no matter what, like how Mike, how much he tries to protect people, everybody still died. So he didn't really change anything, despite trying to save everybody. And it's almost like too, at the ending, he still had to kill to survive to get there. So it's like he really didn't change anything. Like everybody died, and he still kind of, even though he tried not to because it ended up being more personal, he still played into the experiments because he still ended up killing somebody to, I guess, win the whole thing.
yeah.
So nothing really changed. like it still goes back to the experiments.
Yeah. And I guess that's the main point of it. It was that like anything that you could think to do that would be outside of the experiment, you would get punished for doing.
Yeah.
Like you would get punished if you were going to try to take your tracker out. If you were going to get punished if you tried to like have outside help, like when they were hanging the banners and stuff. So yeah, any way that you could have tried to like do something that didn't actively like involve the experiment, you were going to get punished. And even in a way, like even if they would have all sat around and did nothing and waited for the 30,
Yeah.
or the 60
The
at
60,
that point,
yeah.
like they still would have, that would have been a result that, the people running it could have written down and being like, they chose not to
Yeah,
do
this
anything.
group, this group didn't do anything.
Yeah. Which is their sole purpose, which we find out, because then
Yeah,
all the security measures come down, all of the metal comes off of the windows and the doors. What's up?
he's off.
The phone died. The camera's still
Okay,
going.
cool. Just making sure.
No, it's all good. But yeah, so yeah, then the guards come in and he gets carried off, and you see him kind of like struggling against the guards, which we learn later there was more to it.
Yeah,
than
that
just
was a
struggling.
big problem for me.
Oh, really?
This goes into a problem that I have. With the
Okay.
ending.
Then they sit him down, and he's talking to the interviewer.
Yeah, the guy. You know what I thought about that scene? Because you ever went to like websites or you do stuff for like not jobs, but like for you've just done some task, and at the end they give you a survey. That's what I was imagining. So after all that bullshit, it's like a survey. Like, okay, out of 1 to 5, how was the experience? How did you feel killing, seeing all these people die?
How did we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Are we doing a good job?
Yeah, you want to leave any feedback?
Were the bathrooms clean?
Yeah. So that's what I was imagining. Just some weird.
Speaking of bathrooms, it's more dark humor, but because there's the when like I think it's Wendell. Yeah, well, no, it is Wendell. Well, I think it's like right after they get the news, like whoever has the highest kill count is gonna win. Because I think Wendell is like in a room with 3 other people.
Yeah.
One of their heads explodes, and he hears like, "Oh, you just gotta have the highest kill count." So he's like in the bathroom with 2 other people, and then like kills them both. And like the last lady that he kills is in the stall. And as he like closes, as he leaves the stall, the door closes, and there's a notice that's like, Belko strives to keep the bathrooms clean or something like that.
I can't even notice. That's funny.
And it's just like dark humor, but it was just like, oh my god, yeah.
They even have one like Belko could suck my vag.
Oh yeah,
It's funny.
yeah, that was funny. Yeah, like just different stuff. That to kind of like break up the
violence. And
yeah,
stuff like that.
and give it a little bit of dark humor. Like even after the extra 30 like exploded, the shot right after that is a dog peeing on the fence outside.
Oh yeah, I even noticed that. Yeah,
And it's just kind of like
because mundane shit happening outside.
yeah,
A lot of people are getting their head blown off inside.
yeah. So I guess yeah, I didn't even think about it like that. Just kind of show you like everything on the outside is like just a normal day, and then like they're going through this like traumatic thing, but then like yeah, also just kind of like a like gonna give you something like, oh, okay, because like you just saw something like crazy.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy shit. Yeah,
Especially because like a lot of them are kind of far away, but that last one, Keith, is like you were right up in it
yeah.
when it happened.
R.I.P. Keith.
R.I.P. Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wonder if his aunts made it.
Oh, who? Oh yeah, his aunts. They got bombed too. Oh my god.
No. But then yeah, so he grabs the dude by the collar. Why?
Yeah. Why do you do it? It's like asking him questions.
Why you do this?
I don't know if they're trying to like add some backstory with that guy. Maybe not, just make him look interesting. But his face was obviously burnt, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if he was on my second watch. I was wondering if he was one of the people that survived a previous one.
Oh.
And now he's like the taskmaster. But that's just me adding more shit.
And the task.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe. Like I thought that too, because I was like, "What's the importance of unless like the actor just has a burnt face?"
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't think to look him up and see if he just got a burnt face. Toaster. No.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But no. Was yeah. So then he has the whole like exit interview or whatever.
Yeah.
What
can we do to make this better?
Yeah, asked him how he's like feeling in the moment. And that's when he interrupts him and he's like, "Oh yeah, well you guys been watching everything, right? Well you seen me with the bombs, right?
Yeah.
I bet you're wondering where the bombs are."
And the dude, I like how the dude's expression just changes. Then he looks over at the other guy like, "What the fuck?" Because I guess they forgot. They looked over him having a bomb. But yeah, you could go on.
Oh yeah, and then so like that's when we hit the big reveal that he's been planting them on all of them the whole time. So what's your issue?
It's like after all that with Mike, now we add the fact that Mike is basically John Wick now or some crazy shit. Because that whole scene, he plants all the bomb, then he just reacts and he's like shooting everybody and stuff like that. And I was just like, come on. It's just like more shit to make Mike that dude. To me, it was just like extra. But I did like before he killed the interviewer, when the guy's like, "Hey man, you care about life," you know, and Mike is like, "Fuck the bullshit. Oh man, you just killed all this. His girlfriend is dead. You killed all his friends.
You're right.
You think he's gonna spare your life now
No, yeah,
because you're like,
definitely
oh,
not.
think about life. Get the fuck out of here, man."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's just like earlier. It's just like, of course Mike would do this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean, he's smart. He pieces it together, and like if you can do it in like such a way that it doesn't really like give you up. I mean, because you even see, I went back to watch it when they were carrying him. He had like a closed fist, and you could like see something was in it.
but it's just like after all this, now we give Mike the ability of sleight of hand. It makes him feel like a superhero to me. Yeah, that just and in that sequence too, like he runs over, he checks all the names and blows all of them up, and he's like shooting people left and right. And I was just like, come on, man, you know, like how much more?
Well, really, all he had to do was take out the people with the guns, which is the people that he planted them on.
Yeah,
Because the other two people were just monitoring.
but it's just like for him to react that quick, like just to go there. He, just trigger every bomb, then just around start shooting people. It just
Well,
seemed
I
too
mean, it
much.
seemed like they were right next to the control panel. It didn't seem like that much of a jump.
Yeah, but it just seemed like too much extra stuff that they just had him do. Like he's just doing some John Wick shit. It just very reactionary. But at that point, I was just like, okay, yeah.
Do you think you just don't like Mike, and
Now,
that's why you?
no, I mean, like I said, like it kept adding on throughout the movie. Then by that scene, I was like, oh, of course they'll have him do this, and it's on the actor because he does a good job. It's just the way he's written and everything written around him. It just kind of seemed like for a guy that's never been in this situation before. He's just having all the right moves, and
Well, I mean, no one's ever been in this situation.
true, but like if he got shot earlier or maybe got his ass whooped or besides getting knocked out, it's like if something happened for me to to just show him being somewhat vulnerable or just show like he could be hurt or something. Besides, I guess he did get knocked down the staircase. I would have taken it, but it's just like throughout the whole movie, it's damn near flawless in every situation. Like if he, I guess, went against shot at Bad Barry, and maybe he got shot somewhere. Then I'm like, okay, he's not. He can still get hit by bullets, and he has to figure out some way to kill Barry, and it shows like okay, he could get hurt, but it's just like he just came out of all that thing
Just
kind of
completely
clean.
unscathed.
Yeah, I was just like,
Yeah.
oh come on, man. So, but and I don't like Mike, but it's just because of the way he's written. That's all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you didn't have any problems with that scene, I'm guessing.
No, it was believable for me. But I guess the believability wasn't really your issue. It was more to do with just the fact that like Mike always seems to come out on top
Yes.
no matter what.
Yeah.
Which like I don't know. It's just interesting that like his Mike with his kind of pacifist mentality is the winner at the end. And then he's able to also subdue the guards and like the people that were running that experiment. Now, the interesting point becomes were the people issuing the test part of it, because like was there also they didn't care if he killed the people in the control room, because at the very end we see like the last shot is of the camera kind of like pulling out, and we see that it's another like CCTV camera. And then we see that he's just one of many experiments that's going on, and like all of them are kind of finishing up about the same time. And so like the only thing that would really set him apart from anyone else is that he killed the people that were kind of in control
Yeah.
of it. But at the same time, if he's still on the camera, then it seems like that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because they even said like initiating phase 2.
Yeah.
So there's another. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a sequel coming out.
Maybe.
Yeah, like maybe all the winners from all of them they get pit into another experiment, seeing how all the winners do. It's almost like a Big Brother type
Yeah.
reunion.
Kind of like that the escape room movie.
I haven't seen that one.
Well, they had the first escape room movie, and then they have a new one coming out that's like Escape Room Tournament of Champions or something like
okay,
that.
yeah. So maybe it's that Belko Experiment Tournament of
Tournament of Champions
yeah.
or something like that.
The Belko champions. But
That's crazy. No, but like just seeing like all those other people, like stories that you never even like knew anything about, because I think one of the screens was just like you just see like one of the winners had like written like "forgive me" on a banner or whatever.
Tim was about to kill himself too.
I think he was. And then you see one guy, I think he was just like doing like kung fu moves outside.
Oh, really?
He was just like, whoa.
Oh, okay. Well, that guy had fun.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on?
He killed everybody by hand. And this one, I want to see a spin-off with his, He's just going around doing Jackie Chan moves, murking people.
It would be interesting to see one happen like across the pod, like in Britain, where they don't like, it's not common for anyone to have a gun or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
or like in Japan, I think they'll have guns. They have like just like sticks they usually use.
oh yeah,
I think I might be wrong.
I think,
but I would like to see. Yeah.
I think Japan you can have a shotgun
Okay.
as like a civilian. I think you can have like a handgun or a shotgun, but I think that's it. I don't think you can have like rifles or anything like that.
Oh.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
If you're from Japan, comment.
Yeah. Correct us.
Correct us, please. We ignorant over here.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it kind of adds. I think it gives it a level of like terror in a way. Like, oh yeah, Mike isn't the only one going through this.
Yeah,
it's happening all around, and like the fact that there's a phase 2 lets you know, like, oh, this shit's not over.
Oh yeah,
so
not by a long shot.
Yeah, so it might not be even over for Mike. He, like, everybody there reacting, it might be happy. He's like, oh yeah, it's maybe just the beginning. So
it even seemed like the prompter, the voice or whatever, what have you, he seemed to be kind of and another thing to go back into, like maybe killing the guards was part of the game, because he even Mike is questioning him, and he's like the first time around he's like, well, we're not supposed to get into the specifics of the experiment or whatever, and then he kind of asks him to like he's like, we run a series of these tests ever since we started doing them. We learned quite a bit, and he's like, well, to what end? And the guy kind of like seems stumped, and he kind of like taken aback. He's like,
I wonder if he seems stumped because it's phase 1.
yeah,
So that maybe they don't.
he only knows X amount. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because like when he asked him that, he's like, well, we run these experiments, and we understand so much more about the human psyche now that we've run these tests. And he's like, well, to what end? Why? And then he's like, maybe the world will be built better one day. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't ask those questions. We just do the science.
Yeah.
And so it leads me to believe that killing the people running the experiment may be part of the game, at least on that local level.
I wonder if they're just expendable. Like, if they die, they die. If not, then it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's maybe why he didn't have all the information.
Yeah, they're just out there.
Yeah.
To do it. If anything, I guess it adds even more to the champion They're able to go that extra mile of maybe murking the interviewers.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe the other people in that other one, they actually just answered the questions they left.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, because we never got to see another one.
But to Mike's point, like, they're not gonna let you leave.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely still got the tracer in your head.
Yeah.
So that's how I was thinking. Like when when I first saw the movie, when Mike leaves there and they're playing this like music to Victorious music, seemed like he survived and they were panning out. I thought his head was about to explode because I thought like, oh, okay, at the end of the day, you still have the shit in your head, so they're just gonna murk you. So I mean, it's definitely interesting. I do like that, like your theory. It's not like it's wrong or anything because it's open ended, and I kind of like the fact that ending it leaves it open ended because you could add in your own explanations, and to me, stuff like that is more terrifying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Than just getting a definitive answer.
Yeah, because once you get like a definitive answer, it's like, they give it to you, but if you make up your own shit, like why did they do that? Or you're like how you're saying like, oh, these people are expendable. And what's going to happen next with the phase 2? Who knows? And to me, that's scary because it's like you're never settled. You don't feel satisfied.
I wonder if they're gonna work on this
On a
part
sequel?
2. Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I don't know how well this one did box office wise.
Oh,
I didn't hear anything about it, so I don't know.
You never knew about it.
I didn't know this movie existed. So to me, I guess it goes into my overall like how I feel about this movie, and I already said earlier, I like the movie. I actually really end up liking it more because with the way the cover seemed and everything, I thought it was just gonna be one of those straight to DVD type movies, like a Netflix movie type thing. Then I was watching it, and I was just like, and I think me also going in blank. I didn't know what to expect, and I was just like, I actually like this more than I thought I would, and it was definitely horrifying. The sound effects are really good. It's rewatchable, but depending on who you watch it with, some people who might not like violence too much, maybe give away. But it's a good like, just like an interesting movie to watch with a group and have everybody in the group think about what would they do in that situation. Yeah.
Made me think about my place at work. I'm like, dang.
Oh yeah.
Like, who am I really good friends with?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
what if I end up betraying you?
Oh, man.
It's just around. But yeah, it does a good job with that. So for me, I could give my rating. I would definitely give this like a, because I guess I'll touch on this afterwards too. It's like I'll give it like a 8 head explosions out of 10. Yeah.
I'll give it a 7.5 oversized clothespins.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Out of 10.
That shit was fucking huge, man. You actually touched on this earlier, and I wanted to talk to you about it because the description, it was described as a horror movie. And the whole time I was like, I don't see it as a horror. I never thought of it as a horror movie until I saw the description. I thought of it as like a thriller type movie. But maybe the horror comes in the fact that the blood and
I think it may be horror in the same way that like Saw would be considered horror. It's kind of like more of like a body horror type thing than a traditional like jump scares and like frightening you. Also, kind of like to what I was speaking about with the elevator, is like there are movies that they don't. It's not necessarily that they do a lot for you in the initial watching of the movie, but a good sign of like a good horror movie is one that sticks with you after you're done watching it.
Yes.
That kind of like makes you question the scenarios you find yourself in that are similar to the movies afterwards. Like there are many horror movies that have deaths surrounding elevators, and like, my God, if like every time I get on an elevator, well, not every time, but like a lot of time when I get on an elevator, like one of those scenes
it does?
comes back to me. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, especially the one from like Resident Evil, when like the lady's like head is stuck in the door and she's like just hoping that the elevator like doesn't go up,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden it does, and just like
Cuts ahead. I
yeah,
guess, have you seen Final Destination 2?
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. That's another one. And that one's bad too because the elevator kept jamming
Oh
as it was
dang.
like trying to cut her head.
Oh
Yeah, yeah. Then eventually it just goes, and they bring back the body, and it's just a headless body.
dang.
But yeah, I see what you mean. See, for me with movies like horror movies, like you said, if it sticks with you, that's a sign of a good horror movie. To me, I like when horror movies don't follow the typical path. Like they don't have the jump scare. They don't have the typical jump scare. They just kind of do their own thing and they take chances that usual horror movies don't do. That's a sign of a good one. And like this one, I think I really liked it because it's like it was relatable. You know, everybody. You know, most people work, and most
Yeah.
people might have people that don't like at work. They might think like, man, this and that, I would murk these fools. You know,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, it kind of puts you in that one. And two, with this movie too, it's like like we said earlier, the plot is somewhat, you know, the moment you start questioning real life shit put into it, it's like, okay, I don't think this is possible. And the
Yeah.
movie knows that too, so it just kept going and doesn't give you
Right.
time
Before
to
you give
question.
a chance. Yeah. Yeah. Before you get a chance to question it.
Yeah, and that's really good because the pacing is good, and I think it definitely has it. That's why I think it's rewatchable because if you watch it again with somebody else, you're not waiting for like a setup to happen and get to the horror parts. It's just like, hey, this is an office. Let's go. You know,
Yeah.
let's just start murking these fools. And yeah, definitely good. I liked it. I'm gonna have to go see other reviews to see how they feel about it because, like we said earlier, I didn't know this shit existed. Now I
Yeah.
want to know how people actually felt about this movie.
And honestly, like, I mean, I don't know how this comes off to the people that have been watching our stuff, but I would be open to like, having discussions in the comments, like having some input from people that are watching our podcast about, things that maybe we didn't see, some angles from things that, like just maybe we were too close, maybe we're too focused on one aspect of something that we overlooked something entirely.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe there's, we felt that this character was smart when actually like there's something that we overlooked that they did that was like really dumb, or like
Maybe
things like that. It's always good to get a fresh perspective,
Sure.
and I think that's like one of the reasons I like doing the podcast with you.
Yeah.
Is like we don't always have the same perspective, and we pick up different things
For sure,
in
yeah.
the movies. And I think like I think now like you're really paying attention to the sound ever since I brought it up.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
you brought up the
like,
Follies work and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you like now I see you talking about like the audio cues and stuff like that. So like we kind of build each other
Yeah.
like on like what to look for and stuff
I
like that.
noticed too. You're talking about the fight scene, like Mike
Oh,
versus
yeah.
not being not being able to hold him in that
I
position.
mean, come on, Mike was scrawny, bro.
True, but as someone who's done jiu-jitsu, there are some positions that you could be able to maybe stall, but you can't hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could stall. So in their defense, I didn't really get to sit positions too much. But if it's one of these positions you could stall, so it was fast enough for him to grab that shit and and whack Barry with. But if he just like try to hold it for then all of a sudden for like dear life, then all of a sudden Barry just passes out, then I'll call bullshit,
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like seeing how big Barry was. I doubt he could kind of get his leg wrapped around his neck and stuff from that position, because there are legit positions in jiu-jitsu that doesn't matter your size. If you get it, you get it. It's just that position seems kind of peculiar. It just seemed like more of a holding position. But yeah, like you said, other people, hopefully they talk about that. If anything, it does well too. Like I think the more, like for movies like these, the more people talk about them, I mean, they obviously need money too, but it
Right.
also gives like studio maybe more incentive to try to get a sequel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if people actually have like discussions about them, because there are some like small movies or budget movies I didn't get that big of a release that sometimes still have a sequel in mind because of just word of mouth, And I think this is one of those movies maybe it did. Like I said, it's just I could only speak to my experience and my from my point of view. Is like I just didn't hear about it, you know. And I'm glad you mentioned it because it's one of the better horror movies I've seen in a while, or if it's considered horror because like I said, I just don't like the typical horror stuff.
Yeah.
So I like different bottleneck things. I
And
don't. Sorry.
so it was like something out of the norm. It was the premise was was different.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was one thing even out of the whole like having to suspend your disbelief throughout certain portions of the premise, I at least appreciated the fact that it tried to do something different.
Yeah, that's true. So the premise is somewhat. I've seen it before, but in the other movie, it wasn't treated like a horror movie or like this. Have you heard of a movie called Battle Royale?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
So it's similar. They had to have something on their necks that explodes.
You mean the original Hunger Games?
Yeah, the original Hunger Games, the original. That's where Fortnite came from too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Suzanne Collins said that she was watching TV when she got the idea for Hunger Games. I'm like,
okay.
what was Battle Royale on?
Yeah,
Was that
I
what
mean,
you were watching on the TV?
it's okay if you say you were inspired by it. You know.
I mean, yeah, you can just say you ripped off the entire idea. No,
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
I'll just say like you're inspired. You know, that's a
Yeah,
better
I
way of
mean,
saying
because
it.
eventually it did do more. It did kind of its own thing afterwards. But I mean,
But I mean, most things.
that first book is totally Battle Royale.
Oh yeah,
you
Battle
know?
Royale is a good movie. But in Battle Royale, it's treated more as action. They might
Yeah.
have some scenes that kind of, with some people, are kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
But it was more action oriented.
Yeah.
While with this, it's more thriller, I guess, horror.
Yeah, I would
It's-
probably consider it somewhat of like a thriller. Yeah, more so than a horror movie, but I mean, at the same time the graphic like the brutality
Yeah.
was definitely horrifying.
Yeah.
I would say.
Maybe that's where the horror comes from.
Yeah.
Is the stuff like the graphic nature of the killings and stuff like that.
Right, right.
But yeah, like I guess I already said, it's rewatchable for sure because it just keeps going. Like I've already seen it twice and it I didn't feel bored at all both times. And I guess it shows like James Gunn, he's good at maybe this is why I guess they got him for like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. He seems to know how to write for multiple people. Yeah, like he seems to know how to just give each person a personality. He give each people or character their personality and combine them so they could be able to, go through a certain obstacle or situation. And but yet they still have like the dynamic going on.
Yeah.
So it makes me somewhat excited for, never somewhat. I guess I am excited now for the Suicide Squad movie because
okay.
he's directing that one.
Yeah.
And it's rated R2. So
And I would say that's a good point too, because I don't feel like anyone was written specifically for a death like right here or whatever. Like they felt fleshed out.
Yeah, they did. So, and it's funny too because apparently I read that James Gunn got the idea from this movie from a bad dream he had one day.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you read the same thing?
Yeah. Well, Darby looked it up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. A bad dream he had.
A bad dream he had, and he was going through a divorce. That's why I didn't film it earlier.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like, I'm going through a divorce. I don't feel like making some violent ass shit right now. So they put it on the shelf. Then he got popular from doing Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess the studio came up to him like, hey, you still want to go do that movie? And it's like, I'll write and do the producing, but I can't direct it because he's doing other stuff now. Yeah, so it's weird because it's still, even though he didn't direct it, it still feels like a James Gunn film. Yeah, so I guess maybe he got more power, or maybe he did that one thing they do in Hollywood sometimes where a director puts their name down, but they didn't really direct their shit. Somebody else did it, that happens too.
I think sometimes, and you kind of, if you ever get into like working with I mean, maybe you've done something like where this comes in, but there's just certain projects that you work on where like someone sees the vision with you, you know. You're able to communicate it well enough that like they just understand, almost to the point that like you could hand it off to that
Oh,
person
I see. Yeah.
entirely, and they know how it was meant to be, and so they do it.
They execute it well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you give them the blueprints. They're like, oh, I got this. Then they'll just do it.
Like I could see even like maybe like, you know, in addition to the script, like notes about, you know, where the camera should be
Yeah, I
and
see.
stuff like that.
No, maybe yeah, like that. You were talking about the like the camera, the choreography, not choreography, but like cinematography in a way, or like how the camera shots in some scenes, how it played out. So maybe that's actually the director's touch there. You know, I mean, that's James Gunn's just involved more with the writing. Maybe those things that you find impressive, like the fight scene with Mike and Barry at the end, and the Belko projection going on. And maybe that's just the director adding his touch
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I mean, that's just Hollywood. You know, combining different departments together and all that stuff. And it kind of sucks though. Sometimes it's either the bigger name gets the blame or the director. You know, like if
Right.
this movie, I don't know how people feel about it, but people didn't really like it. Well, I guess because James Gunn mostly wrote it and he's the bigger name, people just blame the James Gunn. Yeah, maybe the director just didn't shoot it well. You know, then there are other scenarios that the director tried the best they can to make a good movie, but the writer sucked. You know, the writing wasn't really well, but they just blame the director because that's the person who helmed who helmed, like, I guess, the direction of the movie.
Yeah, and that's honestly like,
Yeah, that's just life.
well, that's a lot of movies. Like
Yeah.
you see the actor, like, and you've seen this actor pull off like so many roles that have been done so well, and they've just given like a script that's just like complete dog water, and they
Yeah.
can't really like do anything with it.
Yeah, that's true. They just have to say it because that's their job. I've read so many stories about that. It's like actors behind the scenes be like, but why would my character say this? And I think I heard a specific one about Armageddon. Like Ben Affleck went up to, maybe it's a myth or something, but I've heard that, yeah, Ben Affleck went up to Michael Bay and he's like, but why would we do this? This makes no sense. And Michael Bay was like, shut up, dude, just do the movie. You know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or maybe he didn't say it like that, but just like, you know, just who cares? It's like, let's just get this shit. Let's just do it. Then I guess kind of talking more about the movie, just I guess Hollywood now. But another one I've heard about was the one line that I love from Blade. Like some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. So I just heard this recently. Wesley Snipes didn't want that line to be in the movie. Yeah, he actually said it off screen.
Oh, wow.
But the writer, I think David S. Goyer, I've heard like they said he wanted that line to be in the movie, but Wesley Snipes was like, no. But David S. Goyer's like, no, it's going to be in the movie. I like the fact that it's in the movie because that's one of my favorite lines of all, like in all cinema, because it makes no fucking sense, but it's just so cool to me. But yeah, it just shows like behind the scenes things that happen in Hollywood, and yeah, sometimes people just get the blame, unfortunately, but because that's what we see, most people don't go back and do the research and things like that. So yeah. So, anything else to add more from this episode, or?
No, I think we touched on everything we needed to with the movie. Overall, I think it was a good movie. Like I said, I give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So just like you mentioned earlier, just try to leave a comment, create a discussion. What would you do in this scenario? Do you like Mike?
Obviously, you don't.
Yeah. Tell me why I'm wrong, and whether this is like an interesting movie you'd like to see a sequel for, and yeah, things like that. So, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hit the notification bell.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you guys.